Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world: movies, movie news, TV, streaming, all sorts of good stuff. I'm coming back from a Jonas Brothers concert last night. Woo, woo! A phrase I never thought I'd say in my life. My second Jonas Brothers concert. Hey, when the wife wants to go, you go. Sitting right beside me, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Right beside him, of course, is what I call the most passive-aggressive encourager in the world.
I'm sweet.
Chris Carr. Back there joining you guys in the live chat, of course, is Ray Ora. Running the show today, and we're all walking on broken glass, Taylor's running it.
The bonus Jonas.
And he's feeling so confident today. He's oozing confidence. And of course, right beside him, Kaylee Robinson is joining us as well. And guys, most importantly, you are joining us here today. Thanks a lot for being here and making this show part of your day. A couple things to let you know about how today's show is going to run. First of all, we're going to take the first half of the show and talk about some predetermined topics. And the second half of the show, we're going to take what time we have left and take your live comments and questions. If you got a live comment or question you'd like us to address on the show, wait till the end of the main topics, and then we'll announce that we're opening up the super chats. Once we do, you'll have just a couple of minutes to fire in your thoughts, theories, opinions, or questions, and we will address those in the second half of the show. All right, guys, with that all down, we're just going to jump right into it because we got a lot of stuff to cover here today. And the first thing we're going to talk about is this. You know, obviously, this is a huge week for the entire movie industry, really, particularly the theater industry, as one of the most highly anticipated films of the year, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, opens to the public in theaters tomorrow, or maybe depending on a country you live in, it might be opening today. But for us, it opens tomorrow. I've got my 3 p.m. tickets, very excited to see it, and it seems like the world is excited to see it. Or are they? A news story has just come out in Deadline that the Wakanda Forever advanced ticket sales are actually trailing 20% behind Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And Ray, if you can pull up and look up what Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness made opening weekend, we'll get to that in a second. But Deadline writes this: advanced ticket sales through Sunday for Disney Marvel Studios' Black Panther: Wakanda Forever stand at $45 million, about 20% behind Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness at the same point in time, although it is 40% ahead of where Thor: Love and Thunder was, and that opened pretty well.
That's 187 million.
187, which had a fabulous opening weekend, Doctor Strange did. Anyway, Doctor Strange 2, before its domestic opening of 187.4 million, had 85 million in advanced ticket sales, while Thor: Love and Thunder had banked 48 million of its $141 million domestic opening by its preview Thursday. Before debuting to 202 million over the 3 days in February of 2018, Black Panther had 55 million in advanced ticket sales. Okay, so let's take that figure and try to take the overreaction out of it. Reality is that the last Black Panther movie opened to $202 million. And right now, the advanced ticket sales for Wakanda Forever are only 10 million behind what that was. So yes, it is trailing 20% behind what Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness was, but Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness did open to $187 million, right? Does that put Wakanda Forever in danger of missing that projected $175 to $200 million range and putting it in the top 10 of the biggest openings of all time? I'm going to say it doesn't put it in danger. I'm going to say it doesn't. I think there are a couple of factors involved here. One, I've said for a while that I believe that one of the reasons Black Panther wasn't a contender, you know, somebody wrote in, it was several months ago, asking, could Black Panther 2 become like the biggest box office film of all time? And I said, well, no, I don't think any film is ever going to top Avatar again, other than Endgame getting re-released and playing leapfrog with Avatar for the rest of time over who has the number one spot. But even aside from that, I've said for a long time, I believe there are two particular obstacles that Wakanda Forever faces. One, they lost their lead actor. And two, they lost their lead character. And those are two separate things, even though they're one and the same.
Yeah.
And while I believe that has probably, I still believe that is going to be in effect. I still believe that's going to be there. But I think where you are most going to see that effect is in the advanced ticket sales. I still think opening weekend when we go, I think the theaters are going to be packed. I think a lot of people are just going to go to, look, I was hanging out in Burbank. I wasn't at the AMC Burbank 16, but I was standing right in front of it. I just couldn't believe how many people are still in line at the ticket counter. Like, it's like, really? Really? Is it 2016? There was still like a big line of people standing to buy tickets at a ticket counter, but whatever. And I believe that will be the case come opening weekend for Wakanda Forever. Look, if it wasn't for the fact that Chadwick Boseman isn't there and T'Challa isn't there, I think this is a movie that could open to 220, 230, 240. But I believe his absence is going to hurt a bit. Here's my fear. My fear is that when I come out of Wakanda Forever tomorrow, I'm going to feel like I just watched a Nirvana concert without Kurt Cobain. That's my worry, is that Wakanda, with everything else people are saying it's doing right, and I'm hoping I'm going to love it as much as a lot of people do. My one little worry going into it is I'm going to come out feeling like, yeah, it was the rest of the band, but the lead wasn't there. So I don't know that I'm going to feel that way. I'm just a little bit nervous that I might feel that way. Anyway, Rob, you hear these numbers that as of right now, Wakanda Forever is actually trailing behind 20% behind Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness. Is that something to be concerned about?
You know, John, I don't think so. And I think because Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness had the Marvel fan bump to it because of all the promise of the characters like Professor Xavier, like Reed Richards. So I think that there was a fervor. Remember, the whole world is not movie fan pundit people like us.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people still don't buy movie tickets in advance. They think about going to the movies that day. And I think that the reason that Doctor Strange had such a big bump is because our diehard group of people, the people that are watching this show right now, everybody who's a huge fan of Marvel, wanted to be first in line to see who are these variants, what's going on. From a comic book standpoint, the very audience that buys things in advance, it was catnip. We had to see what's the reality of it. Whereas this movie, I think that it doesn't have that comic book fan bump, but I think what this movie does have is it has a lot of people that don't necessarily traditionally go to Marvel Cinematic Universe movies the first weekend, and that it's culturally significant to certainly the Latino community, which is the largest growing movie-going community in the United States.
Deadline did that study,
Yep, they did that study. And the thing is, but they're not necessarily, they're not people that are like, oh my God, we have to, unless you're a fan, buying movie tickets in advance is not, my mother doesn't even know you can do that. And I think like if somebody sees it, I think most people not most people, but a lot of the audience does not think to buy advance tickets. A lot of the audience that might go to these, like this is the kind of movie that I could see someone's abuela going, hey, I saw that this character, he's Mesoamerican. I remember that when I was a little girl growing up, she's 90 years old. She's like, I want to go to this movie.
Because there haven't been any Mesoamericans since she was a little girl, apparently.
But no, not a superhero. Not a superhero. Yes. Yeah. Not somebody flying with wings on their ankles. And she sees that, but she doesn't know you can buy advance tickets. So she calls up her grandson and says, hey, take me to the movies. So I do think that there's going to be a large contingent of people that did not buy advance tickets.
Chris, you hear this? Are these figures that Disney need to be concerned about at this point? Or is this going to be rectified on, the day these things open and people are going to show up at the theaters? What do you think?
Initially I was a little surprised and I went, well, I haven't ordered my ticket because like a lot of people too, I'm a gig worker, right? Buying tickets in advance does not work for me in my schedule. And so I'm either maybe doing an extra show here, or maybe I've booked a voiceover, or maybe I have to coach someone that day. I'm not going to buy movie tickets because then I just have to cancel them and reschedule them and it's a pain in my butt. Even when you have Nirvana without Kurt Cobain, you still have Dave Grohl, my friend. Dave Grohl's amazing.
Yeah,
so there's a whole bunch of different things in this film that I think are still them. Exactly. Yeah. I will show up alone for Angela Bassett.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people too, to Rob's point, we're not too worried about the spoiler factor of this one of like, who are the variants? Who's in the Illuminati? Ooh. We want to see how this story plays out. And I think a lot of people who aren't in this kind of like very big nerd sphere, so to speak, aren't worried about getting there first. They're just going to get there in their own time. So I think this film's going to do really well still.
Yeah, I do too.
I also wonder a little bit how much of a Carmageddon factor there is here. For those of you who don't live in the LA area, you won't know what I'm talking about, but what was the 405 that got shut down? The 405, first of all, traffic in LA is just stupid anyway, any given day.
Especially this week, we've been like, rain.
Oh, no. But there was this event a couple of years ago that was affectionately referred to as Carmageddon, where the 405 was being shut down. And so the prognostication was that trying to get out of your driveway in LA that week was going to be a nightmare. And they called it Carmageddon. Turns out everybody was so afraid of what the traffic was going to be, there was no traffic. And I wonder if there's a little bit of, what's the point of trying to get my tickets for opening weekend? I'm sure it's going to be all sold out. I wonder if there's a little bit of a factor in that. Maybe. I don't know. We'll find out. The real number, of course, is going to be the number that we hear on Monday.
What about people losing trust in the MCU because of Phase 4? What if people haven't been happy with what's come out?
Again, that's the same audience that bought tickets for Doctor Strange.
Right.
Yeah, it's just, but so I mean, here's what I would say to that. I think number one, I don't think 95% of the general movie-going audience follow things like that, like us in the hardcore nerd circles do. Number two, it feels like just yesterday that Spider-Man No Way Home was out and people absolutely, completely loved it. Is it possible that something like Thor: Love and Thunder turned off enough people that maybe en masse they wouldn't go? But even then, I don't buy that, because if you were somebody who had a problem with Thor: Love and Thunder, you're loving the way Black Panther Wakanda Forever looks,
Absolutely.
right? Like, I've heard so many people, I've seen so many YouTube videos and so many articles about, yes, this is the Marvel getting back to what they should be. Like, go back the other way from the overuse of the silly humor and stuff like that. So I don't know, it might be a factor. We'll certainly find out come Monday, because I'll tell you this. If Monday comes around and Black Panther makes $115 million opening weekend, which for 95% of movies ever released would kill to have that kind of an opening weekend. But if Wakanda Forever opens to like $115, $120 million, there's going to be a lot of questions that need to be answered after that. And maybe that's one of them, about like, did the previous movies turn people off?
Is there a bet coming right now?
Do you want there to be?
What do you think it's going to make?
I think it's going to make 197. You can go over or under that.
No, because I always have to go over your pick, because under is just like the cheap way to win a bet. So
is it? Yeah.
You're not doing Price is Right rules?
Yeah.
The Price is Right.
So I'll say 200 and over. If you say 197, 200.
Well, I hope you're right. I hope it does.
It's not going to do it, but I've lost a bet before. I'll lose one again.
Actually, quick survey in the office here. Who's got their advance tickets for Black Panther already?
I do not.
Am I the only one?
I'm waiting second
Just
weekend,
because the
dude.
schedule, like you said, you never know what's going to pop up. That's the only reason why.
I have my tickets to Thursday night in Dolby and Saturday morning in IMAX. And then in between, I'm seeing The Fabelmans, just standard. Wow.
Nobody asked, Taylor.
My weekend.
I'm sorry.
Whoa.
Hey, you can switch the camera off.
I'm sorry.
His first day doing the
shut
big
it
show,
down.
and
Get down, camera A.
I'm so trying to give
When
more
do you have time to live? I'm always fascinated by how many movies Taylor sees.
I know.
It's my Trenta iced coffee. Sponsor me, Starbucks.
Oh,
That's
okay.
true. That's true. I sleep a lot.
All right.
Guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this? It's a shocking headline to see that it's trailing behind. But Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness made a lot of money in its opening weekend. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Are we overhyping this? Are we getting carried away with it? Will it mean nothing? Are the numbers going to exceed expectations? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move into a second off the top, and that is this. You know what? A show that I was kind of late on, but I really quite enjoyed, was Vikings. I wasn't watching it because I thought it looked like a low budget sort of thing. But then I was having lunch with a friend of mine and they said, it's Sons of Anarchy with Vikings. I'm like, well, okay, I'm on board. And I started watching Vikings and I loved it. And Travis Fimmel, who of course was also then starred in World of Warcraft, was great in it. As a matter of fact, he was so good in it, I stopped watching the show when his character died. Wow. I just kind of lost interest in the show because he was the main character. Well, then he kind of reappeared again on HBO for Raised by Wolves. I thought he had a really interesting character on Raised by Wolves, even if I didn't love the show all that much. But I guess HBO liked him because he's back. According to a report here in Variety, Travis Fimmel has joined the upcoming Dune prequel series. What's it called again? The Sisterhood?
The Sisterhood.
The Sisterhood is coming. This comes to us from Variety, who writes, Travis Fimmel has joined the prequel series Dune, The Sisterhood at HBO Max. The show is set 10,000 years before the events of Dune and is based on the novel Sisterhood of Dune by Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson. Per the official logline, the show follows the Harkonnen sisters, Emily Watson and Shirley Henderson, as they combat forces that threaten the future of humankind and establish the fabled sect known as the Bene Gesserit. Fimmel will star as Desmond Hart, described as a charismatic soldier with an enigmatic past who seeks to gain the Emperor's trust at the expense of the Sisterhood. Bum, bum, bum. So he's going to be kind of be an antagonist. Maybe just look at that's the face of an antagonist right there. If I'm buying a hot dog at a baseball game and that guy's selling it to me, I'm not trusting it. I'm thinking something's a little bit shady. Anyway.
You and I view this man very differently.
She's like, I'll buy multiple.
Like, I'll take all the hot dogs.
Great.
Anyway, Chris, you hear this. What do you think about the addition of Travis to Sisterhood?
her
You know, I have to be completely honest. Vikings was not a show that I watch regularly because of all the eye violence in it. It is
there's a lot
there's
of
so
eye
much
violence.
and horrific and realistic. And as you all know, that is my thing that I can't deal with. That is my spiders for Aaron, right? But my husband was obsessed with this show, and he would show me certain clips when we needed to practice Norse dialects. Being married to another actor is weird, you guys. This is what we do for fun. But he adores him and has really followed his career since this show. And he's a big Dune fan, so I know he's going to be really, really excited. You know, it's never a bad idea to add talent. He's a tremendous actor. I mean, I know I just
He
talked
was
about how
so
good
good
looking
in
he
this
is,
role.
but like he is so intense and does such wonderful, just little micro expressions with his face. He's going to be really interesting to watch in anything he does. So sign me up for this one.
Out of curiosity, when you were for the parts of Vikings you did see, did you ever see the Blood Eagle?
No.
Oh, and it's a real thing. I if I remember correctly, and guys in the live chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Blood Eagle was like the ultimate kind of punishment and test for Viking, where basically they would have you on your knees and they'd tie your wrists up, and then they would take an axe and cut open your back and pull your back open and then use the axe to hatchet off your ribs from your spine. And if you don't scream out in pain before you die, you get to go to Valhalla.
I know what I'm doing this weekend.
Oh my God.
Go
That
to
was
Bell.
awful.
Go to Valhalla.
The most
baby.
aggressive thing I've ever done in my life is spatchcock a chicken. So like this show is not for me.
I don't even want to know what that is.
It's when you take the spine out of a chicken.
Oh, okay.
Sure, yeah.
You son of
Well,
Wait, it's dead, you guys. What the hell?
you monster.
This is.
I know how to debone it because of Masterclass. Thanks, Gordon Ramsay.
But yeah, you would have a very hard time
no,
with
it's
the Blood
not for
Eagle
me.
scene.
It's
It
not
was
for
like,
me.
even for me, I was a little bit squeamish. Anyway, Rob, you hear about this casting. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I find it an interesting choice because, you know, Dune and Dune Part 2 are based on Frank Herbert's original 6 Dune novels, actually the first Dune novel. And The Sisterhood is based on a book that his son wrote with Kevin J. Anderson. So it's not, I guess I just don't think of it as canonical. That's just me. That said, the Bene Gesserit Sisterhood, they, in the Dune novels, are the ones that have been manipulating bloodlines for millennia to create the Kwisatz Haderach, the perfect being. And so to see how that all comes into play.
Sometimes I think we should have nerd subtitles for when you speak, but please, but which I think is awesome, by the way. So
Yeah.
please continue.
Well,
I love it.
The Nerdrak Sadarak.
well,
which everybody
Kwisatz
knows.
Haderach. So I think it's really cool that they're going back to see the beginnings of the Bene Gesserit Sisterhood. I think that's really a great way to go because it doesn't interfere with the Paul Atreides story, and I think this is really great casting. Although he looks to me with his icy blue eyes like a Fremen, like he's already been imbibing the spice.
He
on
does
Arrakis.
have icy
You've said
blue
so
eyes.
many words that I know you're trying to talk to me with, but I don't know what they mean.
Yeah, can
I
you
know
imagine?
that the spice must flow. That's all I've got.
Okay. Clearly,
Anyway.
you're not the woman I thought you were.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Today is shade today at the John Campea. So much of it being dished out. Anyway, you know what?
Trouble in
here's
Paradise.
how good he is. He was the most watchable part about that Warcraft movie. He was the absolute most watchable part
Yeah.
of it. I mean, he almost made it work. Anyway, guys, questions for you. What do you think about the casting of Travis for The Sisterhood, the new Dune prequel. I'm actually really looking forward to it. I obviously I love the first movie. Can't wait for the second one. See what they continue it on with. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and leave us your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we've got one more off the top to do here today. I told you it was a packed show today, and that is this. You know, a lot of people forget, but when John Wick was first coming out, nobody cared. It's like people forget that before Iron Man, nobody cared about Robert Downey Jr. anymore. He was a guy who had already had a comeback and screwed up the comeback. Nobody was giving him a lot of thought at that point. And so when they brought him to the executives to say, we want this guy as our new Iron Man, there was obviously a lot of pushback and stuff like that. But hey, he became Iron Man. Now, it's hard to imagine a time that Robert Downey Jr. wasn't a huge, significant A-list star, right? It kind of feels like that way today with Keanu Reeves because he's the darling of everybody. I mean, who doesn't love Keanu Reeves, right? But it wasn't that long ago that when this new little movie was coming out, John Wick, it's like, John Wick, he's a hit, man. It's going to be another one of these throwaway, nobody cares about Keanu Reeves anymore. But then the first trailer dropped 1 month before the movie came out. And all of a sudden, we actually talk about it in my documentary when this one trailer came out and changed the perception of the whole movie. And all of a sudden people were like, wait a minute, this looks really good. And he has, of course, had his big resurgence that can mostly be credited to his performances in John Wick. Well, John Wick now has 3 films. We've got a 4th film coming, and there's a spin-off series, well, a couple of spin-off things coming, but we got a spin-off series called The Ballerina that's going to be starring Ana de Armas, which is great. And now, according to Variety, it looks like Keanu Reeves is actually going to appear in this spinoff. From Variety, that writes, Keanu Reeves is expected to make an appearance in John Wick's Ballerina, a female-centric spinoff of the popular action franchise. Lionsgate, the studio behind the series, declined to comment on Reeves' casting, but the company confirmed that Ian McShane has closed a deal to reprise his role as Winston, as the manager of the Continental Hotel in the upcoming movie. So we're going to have him in there. Now, it doesn't sound like it's going to be a regular role, that he's not going to be in it for the whole series, but to actually have him at least appear, to me, that will just give this show an air of authenticity, I think. Like, it's one thing to say, we're connected to the John Wick universe. That's great. And you can say that, but to actually, even if it's just for a few moments, to see Keanu Reeves pop up on screen, that will make it feel like it's home for John Wick fans. That will make it for John Wick fans feel like, yep, this is that world. We're here now. And so I don't know how big or small of a role. I'm anticipating it's probably going to be small. It's going to be. But nonetheless, I think it's actually a really brilliant move and quite important that they do this. So I like this announcement. Anyway, Rob, you hear about this. What do you think? Important, not important?
No, I think it's a great idea. You know, the Wick verse is so rich for exploration. One of the great things about John Wick was it could have been just your standard revenge thriller, but it created this whole world that we didn't know about, the Continental Hotel being this epicenter of
Can't wait
world.
for that, by the way.
I know, and now they're doing that series. That's moving forward. You got the Ballerina coming, and I think, look, the key to all this is Keanu Reeves. I mean, he is John Wick. So I think it makes sense. I mean, and to have him as a recurring character, I mean, obviously the Wickverse is going to become, in its own way, like the MCU, I'm sure, because you're going to have all kinds of characters spinning off. I mean, the Continental's got to be about the people that come stay at the Continental. It's not going to be like James Brolin in Hotel, where they, you know, that show. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be, I mean, I would think it would be. Maybe it is. But I think this is important. I think it's his franchise after all. So why not? Let's see him in it. Let's see him maybe graduation to graduate the Ballerinas. You have to fight John Wick. I want to see Ana de Armas take him on.
Ooh.
Well,
That'd be interesting.
didn't Angelica Houston's character train both kinds of assassins?
Yeah.
So that could be fun if she also comes back and we pair them up of like which sect does better.
Hey, Chris, you hear about this. Do you think it's important that Keanu Reeves shows up in this?
Yes, it's his cinematic universe. He is the epicenter. Give him all of the things. And also, I mean, Keanu Reeves, like, there he is. Look at him.
The
Look at-
Wickverse. There it is.
Love him.
It's just nice, and I know this is a silly thing because things don't have to be fair or nice in real life, but Keanu Reeves is such a gentleman and kind person that it's always just nice to see somebody have success who is like that, because there's so many D-bags in Hollywood. So it's really, really refreshing to have someone who's just Lovely, have a wonderful franchise. I know we're also kind of burnt out on the idea of cinematic universes because everyone has one, right? But this is one that's still really, really fun and original. And I think this is going to be more good stuff. And I'm glad he's part of it.
Okay, I love you, Cam. That's okay.
Oh my gosh, I already told the chat that I'm getting a new work husband. So let's figure it out later, I
Wow.
guess. Earn me back. Woo me, Rob.
Here's one of the interesting things about John Wick, though. John Wick, I remember after watching John Wick for the first time, I came out of it wanting that world expanded.
Yes.
Like just the whole concept of the Continental. I still remember my first review of the movie. I'm like, I'm fascinated with the mythology and the history of the Continental. And I came out yearning for that. So kind of let it if they do expand this out into its own cinematic universe, which seems which they are doing with Ballerina and with the Continental, it feels quite organic. It doesn't feel like a forced thing like a lot of the comic book ones do, where it's just like, well, we got to make it be in the same world and all this kind of stuff. This is really organic, and one of the reasons why I'm excited about it. So, I mean, so we've got a series coming, we got a movie coming, we've got the 4th installment of John Wick coming. They've got a lot of stuff that they're doing here. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Keanu Reeves is going to make an appearance in the Ballerina film with Ana de Armas. I don't know if it's going to be a big role, small role, whatever, but just his appearance I think is important. Maybe you don't think it is. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, we're going to take a quick break here for a second and thank one of the sponsors of today's episode, our friends at Athletic Greens. Hey guys, we want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of this video, Athletic Greens. Now, I started taking Athletic Greens because I don't eat enough vegetables, and I was looking for a way to make up for that deficit in my diet of those vitamins and minerals that I really need in my system, and thank goodness I found Athletic Greens, and I literally take it every morning. You see, with one scoop of Athletic Greens, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole foods, source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, all the things. And my wife got onto it, and now she absolutely loves it. You know, tons of people take some kind of multivitamin, and it's important to choose one with high-quality ingredients that your body will actually absorb, like Athletic Greens. So right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with a convenient daily nutrition, especially heading into the flu and cold season. It's just one scoop and a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/Campea. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/Campea to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. And thank you to our friends at Athletic Greens for keeping me alive because I don't eat enough vegetables and for being a sponsor of the John Campea Show. Okay, with that down, Kaylee, what do we got up next?
Next up is our Mint Mobile hotline question of the day. If you have a question and want to let your voice be heard on the show, go ahead and call the number on the screen. The number is 951-268-4259. And today, our viewer is asking about AMC losing millions of dollars this past quarter.
Hey guys, I'm calling from California. I just saw a report that says that AMC lost about $270 million in this past quarter. And I myself work at a movie theater that's a smaller chain, but I know that my theater is losing about $70,000 a month these past few months when it's been slow. I'm wondering, do you think that this is just a slow period and we're going to recover from it? Or could this be something that has some long-lasting effects like the pandemic slowness had on the theater industry? Let me know what you think. Thanks.
All right, I recognize that voice. Adam Aaron, you can't hide that from me. I don't know, John, do you think, have I screwed things up enough? Anyway.
But the meme stock.
The meme stock. Adam Aaron's the CEO of AMC Theaters. Listen, that is a great question. That was a startling number, but a not surprising number to see that AMC lost $270 million. And I can't even blame it on the, buffoon-like incompetence of Adam Aaron, who's the CEO of AMC Theater. I can't even blame it on him because it's not even him. When we've talked about this a lot in the last couple of months, you got to go all the way back to July since we've actually had a major tentpole film. I mean, Black Adam opened up. It didn't have the legs that a lot of people were kind of hoping it would have, but still Black Adam open, but that is a large window. And listen, it has nothing to do with comic book movies. Hollywood and the theater industry has always relied on the big blockbusters to fuel people coming in to see even the smaller films, right? That's always been the pattern, at least going back to the days of Jaws. That's kind of been the theatrical pattern. The bigger blockbusters, whatever kind of blockbusters they are, they drive people to the theaters, get people more into the movies. They go to some of the smaller films. There's a bit of a, even though I hate this phrase, there's a bit of a trickle-down effect when it comes to that. And we have literally gone months and months with zero high-profile tentpole films. We've talked a lot. It was like the second pandemic Hollywood has been for the movie theaters. There's just been no product going to the theaters. And so, not surprisingly, this quarter, the theaters have struggled, no doubt. I don't believe that has anything to do with, viewer behavior patterns or any systemic kind of issues we can see with movie going or any stuff like that. Like, I remember in the heart of the pandemic, everybody wrote off that movie going was dead. And then as soon as movies came back, guess what? Some pretty big freaking numbers started to get thrown up there. But now we've gone months without anything legitimate. To be honest with you, I really don't see this drought continuing much longer. We got Black Panther Wakanda Forever coming, whether it makes 150 million or 200 million at the box office. Shortly thereafter, we got Avatar coming out. But here's the more important part, even more important than Wakanda Forever and Avatar, is that we sat down a while ago and we looked at the release schedule in 2023.
Oh,
it's packed. There's a lot of content. Like, it's hard to be, really successful as a vegetable stand if you simply have no vegetables to sell. And that is essentially the situation with the movie theaters right now. But the vegetables are coming. There's my new meme. The vegetables are coming. There is a lot of stuff, both in the big comic book genre and the non-comic book genre. There's some big, exciting looking films coming in 2023. And again, those are going to then fuel movie going as a whole. That's going to help the smaller films and stuff like that. And by the way, even in this lull, some smaller films like Smile, whoever would have thought Smile was going to crack $200 million? Nobody thought that. And so, like, we had
that film made sure that the losses weren't as big as they could have been.
With such a small budget. Also, one of the most brilliant viral marketing campaigns. You guys remember this for Smile? They actually hired actors to go to buy seats at Major League Baseball games behind home plate so the camera would see them, and they would just sit there.
They were so still, I thought they were cardboard cutouts.
Yeah, they would just sit there and hold this, and that was just viral, cheap marketing, right? They paid $300 for that seat for the actor to sit in, and it got national attention. Anyway, so there. That's it. That's it. Oh my God, that was crazy. And it worked. It worked. So there have, even in this dry desert of no content, there have been little buckets of big wins that, to me, say that once you start peppering in the bigger tentpole projects, the higher profile projects, it's going to be well. So I would say for your theater chain that's losing, what did they say, 70,000 a month?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's jaw-dropping kind of money. But I would say, I think the rain is coming. I think the rain is coming, and it's going to start with a downpour this weekend with Black Panther. So what I don't want to have happen, I remember when Spider-Man No Way Home came out, first big, huge movie in the post-pandemic era, and all the movie theaters ran out of straws. They ran out of cups. I mean, that was partially due to a supply chain issue, but also partially due to the fact that they just weren't prepared. So I hope the theater's more prepared this time. Anyway, Chris, AMC Theaters posts a $270 million loss. There's no meme stock here to save Adam Aaron from that. But even I have to admit, this isn't Adam Aaron's fault. What do you think? Do you think there are some systemic issues here, or do you think this is something that simply the release of product might actually help?
I mean, I do think this is something where he was just coasting for so long on the meme stock and letting that carry him. I mean, just today, the stock has dropped itself too by 9%. Yeah. So they are not doing well. We've talked about this with other theater chains before too, like Regal, who's, obviously been in real hot water after declaring bankruptcy and everything.
Filed for chapter 11. They've had to shut down a number of their theaters.
A lot of these theaters, having movies there isn't enough. Right? You have to create an experience there. That's why so many movie theaters now have really great food.
David Letterman.
There we go. Hey, bud. We have movie theaters now have bars. We've got MacGuffins at AMC, right? We have sometimes there's special release food that comes with things. I think we need to get back into doing things that are, like Spectre at a film, right? We need to have events at these theaters because going to see a movie isn't enough when you have so much stuff streaming. And so many of us are so content and cozy staying home these days, especially when so many films are doing the day and date release on the same time, right? So you really have to make going to the movies much more exciting. And if you're a family too, going to see a movie is a big financial decision. Tickets, food, getting a babysitter, maybe if you don't want to bring all the kids. That's a lot of money to go see something that might be mediocre. Whereas if you stay at home and watch something on Netflix, no harm, no foul, you might just lose 2 hours of your life.
Rob?
John, well, I read an article. First of all, there are a couple of things. AMC has partnered up with Zoom. Did you read this?
No, I did not.
AMC has partnered up with Zoom where you can go to a theater and do a Zoom call. Like they're putting in technology.
What?
I'm not kidding.
Doesn't every phone already have Zoom?
Yes.
What are they going to put in, like phone booths?
I have
phone booths?
no. I just read that this week. They're looking for ways to diversify. To me, that's going a little far. But like what somebody said, I don't know if it's Adam Aaron, but the executive was also saying that there just aren't that many movies. But you know what's really interesting? It's not even just the movies. It's the fact that the tentpole properties are the only movies that can spend enough money on marketing to reach the great numbers of people to get them to go to the films. I mean, we've had some pretty great horror. We didn't just get Smile. We got like Barbarian, which on a $4.5 million spend made $40 million, which is very profitable for that movie. People like that film, but not a lot of people knew it was there. And it had a great, that movie had a great marketing campaign, but it can't reach enough people because a small movie like Barbarian, they're not going to spend $50 million to market it. So I think, and I don't know the response or how to do this, but we've had a lot of really interesting smaller films in theaters, but nobody knows they're there.
And yet some of them still managed to do pretty well.
Well, I think the horror, like I think Smile, I mean, that had a great ad campaign and it started out a ways out. Smile, they've been advertising it for a ways out and they made their money. And I think that they really have to, especially studios, if you want to keep, you have to market your movies in interesting ways that aren't just your tentpole movies. You've got to figure out, because Barbarian was a Fox, it was a holdover from Fox. So that was actually a Disney movie. And they had a great ad campaign for it. I just don't think it was seen by a lot of people.
Well, that kind of doubles down on what we were talking about before about why the tentpoles are so important. Because I remember I was talking to a studio executive who said still the number one, this is going to be really surprising. It surprised me. The number one first awareness click, when an average film goer first becomes aware of a movie, is actually in a movie theater. It's the in-theater marketing that when people are in theaters and they walk by this big standee of this one movie, it's like, oh, I know, like, what's this? And they see all the posters on the wall as they're standing there. There you go. Yeah, when you're doing the whole walk like she is there.
Damn,
that's
cute.
That's how most people get their first exposure. Average moviegoers, not those of us who travel in the online movie circles. But they're standing in line at the concessions to see that poster on the wall, that stuff, and then they go into the movie theater and they play the 75 fucking trailers, all that kind of stuff. That's first thing. And if you don't have those tentpole films to bring those average moviegoers into in there, they're not getting that first exposure to those movies either. So it's this whole kind of domino effect that we're getting. And that's why I think as we get into 2023, you're going to start to see some pretty positive numbers.
Yeah, I think so too. I just think that movie marketing, I mean, you've got studios who are now hiring TikTokers to make content. I really think that studio marketing needs to become a little bit more innovative, whether it's like what they did with Smile. They did a great trailer. The trailer was a Justin Long in Barbarian.
Yeah, that was a great trailer.
It was like the wacky comedy film. That was really interesting, but they've got to break out and figure out new ways to market smaller titles to get them in. Mm-hmm. I mean, hopefully the Fabelmans does well because I'm seeing a lot of marketing for that. And I'm hoping that's another movie. My mom's like, do you know Steven Spielberg has a new movie coming out? I'm like, Mom, how'd you know that? Well, I saw it an ad on General Hospital. I'm like, what?
Yep, that's the audience. They're pretty much reaching out to for that one. I know. Anyway, guys, question is for you. AMC loses $270 million this quarter. The smaller theater chains are struggling too. Do you think there's a wider systemic problem? Do you think it's as what I think it is? There's just been no product to sell or something to attract the audiences in. What do you guys think? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. Okay, guys, with that down, it's time for us to move into our main topics here today. And how do we select our main topics on the John Campea Show? Well, that's easy. You guys come up with them. See, whenever you come across a big topic, issue, or story that you guys feel we need to cover as a main topic here on the John Campea Show, go anytime 24/7 to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question. It's absolutely free. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. With that down, Kaylee, what is our first main topic today?
John, our first main topic comes to us from John Hasplan. He says, "Good morning, John and crew. It looks like the end of an era is right at our doorstep. The Arrowverse has slowly been dying the last couple of years, but I just read that the new leadership at CW is saying that WB programming, which is basically the Arrowverse, is going to be greatly reduced to what they're calling minimal. Does this mark the final end of what was the Arrowverse? If so, how will it be remembered?" John, do you think the Arrowverse is slowly dying?
Well, I mean, let's be honest. The Arrowverse has been slowly dying for a while now. I mean, it just, we know that. I mean, ever since Arrow ran out its course and finished its run and Stephen Amell left, the Arrowverse didn't have Arrow anymore. Still had Flash, but Flash ran out of steam. And that's still a show that I will always remember fondly. I liked Flash very, very much. It did run out of steam. I kind of tapped out of the show a little while ago, but I will still always look back on that show very, very fondly. I thought it was a really good win. And I thought that show was a stupid idea, but I ended up liking it very much. But yeah, so as most of you may know, there was basically a takeover of CW. Warner Brothers Discovery and their partners are still owners of CW, but they are now the minority owners, and the majority owners are now saying, yeah, Warner Brothers content, it's going to be minimal. This comes to us from the folks over at CBR who wrote the following. Do we got the side for that, Taylor? All right, here it is. And CBR wrote the following. Nextstar's Executive Vice President and CFO, Lee Ann Glia, stated during a Q3 earnings call on Tuesday that the carryover programming from the CW's former majority owners, Paramount Global and Warner Brothers Discovery, will be limited going forward. Programming for the CW is in place for the 2022 through 2023 broadcast season that extends through the end of August/early September timeframe of next year. You'll see that programming is consistent with what the programmers have historically had on the air for that timeframe, Glia said. Over the course of the next year, we're really working to develop our slate, which will then come online in the 2023 and 2024 broadcast season. We will have some carryover commitment for the CBS and the Warner Brothers Discovery programming that year, but it's minimal at this point. So yeah, listen, when you're talking about CW programming and WB, you are basically talking about Arrowverse. There's other things, obviously, but Arrowverse. And the answer is yeah, it is coming to the end of its life run. I think the Superman and Lois show is going to be the last remnant. Stargirl was just canceled, obviously. Gone are shows like Black Lightning, Arrow, Flash is coming to its end, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's coming to the end. So that leaves me wondering, what will the legacy of the Arrowverse be? You know, it had some really good ones. It had some not so good ones. You know, overall for me, I will always look back at the Arrowverse very, very fondly. Again, the very first show, Stephen Amell's Arrow, I thought that was a dumb idea. And I got hooked on it instantly. I loved the approach to it. It was definitively CW, but it had something else to it. And it was very different from the type of comic book material we were getting in the movie. So it's not like I felt like we were missing out on anything. It was giving us, it was serving a demographic that wasn't being served by the larger movies. And then Flash came out, was great. I loved Black Lightning. I thought Legends of Tomorrow was a little bit hit and miss. I didn't like Supergirl. So again, some things worked, some things didn't. But overall, I thought it served a really valuable role in the whole role of comic book material on the screen as a whole for a while. And while it is time, it's time for the CW DC universe to end. I think it was a really pivotal moment for that stuff, and I will look back on it fondly. Anyway, Chris, do you think this does indeed mark the end of Arrowverse and stuff like that? And if so, how will it be remembered, do you think?
I do think it is the end. I mean, I love the phrasing of is that we're going to be limiting the DC shows on the CW. You could shorten that sentence so much. We're limiting the shows on the CW.
Yeah.
Right.
There is almost nothing left. We currently have Superman and Lois, All American, the All American spinoff, and I don't know what else there is. Penn and Teller try to fool us or whatever that show is. I mean, what is left here? So I think right now we are really going to be looking to be what the CW is going to be from now on, right? And I'm old enough to remember when it was WB and before that UPN, and it's gone through a lot of changes over the years. And I think this is one of those other moments of it has to go through a metamorphosis. It has to burn down so it can rise like the mighty phoenix and become something great once more. The Arrowverse was great. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really, really great boon for, comic book television. I think it got a lot of people who weren't into comic book culture into it. And it's always great when you can have a show inspire people, go to their local comic shop and actually pick something up and start reading it. And I think it did that. All these shows did kind of peter out, but that's the nature of television a lot of times too, especially
absolutely.
American television.
Yeah.
We tend to do something till it's just like a beaten horse in the ground, right? The other day I was like, oh my God, Grey's Anatomy is still on? That's still a thing?
Yeah, and we forget that because like something like Grey's Anatomy or more specific, something like this CW, like something like Supernatural goes 15 seasons, we mislead ourselves into thinking, well, that's the norm. No, that's the rare
it's the
exception
exception
that something goes that long.
Exactly. Usually something after 3 seasons, it starts to fizzle.
Rob, the same question to Chris, but also this as well. How do you feel this morning if you're like the producers of Gotham Knights or the Winchesters, which just started, and you're reading that the new head of the network is saying, yeah, after a few months, going to be minimal their stuff that we carry. I don't know. Is that kind of a dawn
it's-
of doom coming for them?
Yes, it is, and it's kind of a bummer. I think they all knew this kind of going in, though. I mean, it can't be a surprise to anybody. You asked about the legacy of the CW, especially the Arrowverse. I think it made good use of the DC universe. They delved into a lot of characters. The crossover events were fun. You got to see Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman in the animated series, play an older Batman. I mean, it's too bad that they didn't give the entire Arrowverse to Dick Wolf and he could move everything to Chicago. And he could have just called it Chicago DC.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
if it was Gotham Knights, dun dun, I would be there.
Chicago Med, Chicago PD. It should just be Chicago DC. And Dick Wolf can just take over the whole thing, and they move everything. Greg Berlanti, give Dick Wolf a call, make a deal, move the entire DC universe into Chicago. Done.
Seems to be working for them there.
But I mean, I do think that everyone will look fondly, like you said, back at the Arrowverse because it was fun. It was fun. It wasn't morose. It wasn't dark. It was. I mean, they had villains, but everybody was having a good time. The colors were bright.
Yeah, primary colors.
And it was a lot of fun. And there was a lot of really great representation across the DC universe. And I mean representation in terms of different characters. Who would have thought we would have got 70s Black Lightning, that costume? I know you're not a big fan of
It's
it.
the dumbest costume in the
Come on, man. Typical Black Lightning rules.
But the
I
show
grew up
was
with it.
great. I loved it.
It was
loved
good,
show.
and they did a lot of really cool stuff. They brought John Constantine back. They brought Brandon Routh back. Brandon Routh got to play Superman again.
Yeah.
The Kingdom Come
that was
Superman.
pretty special.
Yeah, so there was some great stuff, and you got to hand it to them, and I think it was a great run.
I still remember, we saw the billboards going up around Hollywood because I was still living down there at the time for Arrow is coming, right? With this unknown actor, Stephen Amell on there. And then like one of the first promos came out, and what do they call that exercise? Is the fish ladder? What do they call it when you've got the pull-up bar, but it's literally just hanging on something and you pull yourself up and have to remove the bar and put it to the next rung up and put it. Guys in the live chat, what salmon ladder? That's what everybody in the live chat
John, I find it hilarious that when you said exercise, you're looking at me like I know what that is.
like, yeah, well,
Or me.
Fox do it. But no,
The thing they
shout out
made him
to-
do so Felicity Smoke could go,
Yeah, well, but first of all, shout out to Nubian, Andy, all the guys in the live chat mentioned it's called a salmon ladder. So one of the first promos that came out, and there's Stephen Amell shirtless doing the salmon ladder, and we were just watching TV, and that commercial came on, and Anne's like, "We're gonna watch that show," and I'm like, "All right, sure, we're gonna watch that show." I don't know, Kaylee, did you ever have like any CW show that was like a go-to show for you, whether it was the DC Arrowverse one or what was it, Gossip Girl? Was on?
Gossip Girl was on there back in the day. Yeah,
back in the day.
Yeah,
and
I do remember when it used to be like the WB. You remember it would be like they'd have those cool little all the actors from all the different shows. They'd be in a studio and they're like, watch our show. Like it was like you remember that? They were like them. It was like One Tree Hill, Seventh Heaven Days,
Gilmore Girls.
Yes,
Oh.
Can we do those promos for the John Campea show?
Oh my God, they'll be hilarious.
Yeah.
Hold on.
That would be, by the way, that'd be hilarious. We could monetize that on YouTube right away and get 25,000
There you
hits.
go. I'm in.
Do it.
John, you mentioned Stephen Amell shirtless doing a salmon ladder.
Salmon ladders.
Here
yes.
you go.
Yeah,
There it is.
So it's first of all, the exercise itself is crazy because you see that the bar isn't actually attached. So you have to pull yourself up and then use your momentum to then pull the bar down and move the bar up to the next rung and on and on. American Ninja started using it after they were doing out an arrow. It was
I could
pretty
look
impressive.
like that.
It's so crazy
I do
how
look
I
like
do
that.
not want to do that when I look at that.
Yeah, I have no desire. I see that and I'm like, I should go to In-N-Out.
I was like, where's Chipotle?
That's why I love you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let me
Okay.
ask you this,
True.
Rob. As you
Double.
look back
Animal style.
at the CW Arrowverse stuff,
Yeah.
what would you say was your favorite of the Arrowverse kind of era?
Probably early Flash. I really liked early Flash because I've always liked the Flash Rogues Gallery and I've liked that character. But it just seemed like by the end of it, it's how many Flashes are there? How many people are part of the Speed Force? You know, how many times we brought back these villains? But I did like Flash only because first of all, John Wesley Shipp, you know, they brought back the Flash. He was Flash in 1990, you know, bringing him back and seeing things like Jay Garrick and stuff. I loved all that stuff. And then later on, a friend of mine who I admire greatly, Eric Wallace, became the showrunner of The Flash.
And don't forget Smallville. That was the only show I watched on.
Well, and then Tom
was
Welling
WB,
came back,
yeah.
even though, albeit briefly, in the crossovers. I mean, it was
On
just, but I
Crisis.
think Flash, I liked Arrow, but there was just something about Flash I dug. You know,
Yeah,
I thought it was cool.
I agree.
And Legends of Tomorrow were fun too.
Steven was pretty great. I'm going to show this here. This was Steven when he came into our studio. That is Anne, who may or may not be half drunk at this point because there was a lot of drinking going on this night when Amel came over. And that is, of course, Kaori very inappropriately reaching for his
Somebody
package.
call HR on this one?
Yeah, someone should definitely call HR on that one. This was one that was a little bit more thing, but he's great. I absolutely love Stephen Amell. I've told the story before about on Anne's birthday. He was on set in Arrow makeup and everything in Vancouver, took time out, went back to his trailer, recorded a birthday message for Anne to send him in. And when you do something nice for Anne, you're in my good books forever. So you could do anything that'll get you canceled from the rest of the world. I will still be in your corner. And Stephen Amell is A-OK in my books.
I'll have to
Anyway,
bring my Stephen Amell figure in, my third party 6-scale figure to celebrate the demise of the CW Arrowverse.
to commemorate the demise of the CW. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? It does sound like it's going to start rounding out and winding down. The Arrowverse is probably coming to an end. And we're going to see a different type of incarnation probably on HBO Max. That's going to probably be very different in tone. But what do you think about that? When you look back at the Arrowverse, do you remember it fondly? How do you feel about it? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, we're going to take a second here and thank another sponsor of today's show, our friends at the Amazon Pharmacy. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this episode, Amazon Pharmacy. Now, if you're anything like me, you dread going to the pharmacy. You never know what the hours are. You never know what you're going to pay. You're worried about being stuck in a huge line. And that's why you're going to love Amazon Pharmacy. Amazon Pharmacy delivers a better pharmacy experience that delivers directly to your door and works with most insurance plans. Amazon Pharmacy helps you save time, save money, and stay healthy. There's transparent pricing so you'll know exactly what you'll pay before you pay it. Prime members can also save up to 80% on their prescriptions. And like I mentioned earlier, Amazon Pharmacy works with most insurance plans. And this is one of the best parts. If you ever have any questions or problems, real pharmacists are always available at Amazon Pharmacy no matter what time of day or night. Your medication gets delivered to your door, so there's no more rushing out to the store hoping to get there before they close. Amazon Pharmacy is a pharmacy that works for your life, with meds delivered to your door. It doesn't get any better than that. Switch to Amazon Pharmacy and save time, save money, and stay healthy. Learn more at amazon.com/Campea. That's amazon.com/Campea. Average savings based on usage and Inside RX data as compared to cash prices. Average savings for all generics are 78%, 37% for select brand medications. Restrictions apply. And thank you to our friends at the Amazon Pharmacy for sponsoring this episode of the John Campea Show. Remember, guys, when you support our sponsors, you're actually supporting us. So go down to the description of this video, and right near the top, you'll see links and promo codes to all of our sponsors. And go ahead and use those, because when you do, again, you're supporting our show. And thank you again to the Amazon Pharmacy. All right, with that down, let's get into main topic number 2. Kaylee, what is our second main topic today?
Our second main topic comes to us from Teddy. He says, hey guys, there are rumors going around that the Flash director Andy Muschietti will be directing a Justice League movie in the future. These crazy rumors came from Jason Momoa after he posted a video showing his excitement over some big news that is being kept secret. In the video, Jason says the word maestro while blowing kisses, and there are clips of Ezra referring to Muschietti as maestro as well. Various sources say that the Flash movie is really good, so it wouldn't surprise me if DC wants him to direct future projects. What are your thoughts on this? Thanks, and bring on the filthy.
All right, thanks for sending that in, Teddy. And yeah, look, so a number of days ago, Jason Momoa put out this video on social media that got a lot of people talking, and he was clearly very, very happy. He said he just got the best news of his life. Does he have children?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know how his kids feel today, but he just said he got
Kids are okay. You can make more.
Yeah, you can always make more. So he's just saying he's got the best news of his life, and he said he can't say what it is, but he says, thank you, you know who you are, mwah, maestro, right? Now that started a lot of theorizing from people. Who's he talking about? Some people thought maybe he was talking about Zack Snyder, which is because he loves Zack Snyder.
I know.
So that's a possibility. Some people were thinking he was talking about Andy Muschietti. Now, the reason some people think that is because there are reports and rumors going around that Warner Brothers has approached and sat down and talked to Andy Muschietti about directing Justice League 2. At least those are the rumors and the responses going around. Now, of course, this is coming from because of the fact that you're right. All the inside sources, including the ones I've spoken to personally, and Rob, that you've spoken to personally, with one unified voice, everybody's saying that Andy Muschietti's Flash movie is really, really good.
Yes.
And Warner Brothers is very excited about the film and all that kind of stuff. So that makes it plausible, at least, that, yeah, there would be interest there in having Andy Muschietti, who also, who directed Mama, did a really good job directing that, did the It movies. That made them money hand over fist. Mm-hmm. So obviously there could be some interest there. Now, I will say this. Before I tell you what I was going to tell you, let's go over. This comes to us from Fandom, and Fandom wrote the following. In recent reports, Andy Muschietti is rumored to be in talks with DCU and Warner Brothers Discovery about directing Justice League 2 after directing The Flash. Although this is just speculation, there have been rumors about David Yates taking over for Man of Steel 2. I don't see that happening, but that's possible, I guess. Both the parent projects were initially Zack Snyder's works. While Justice League went on to be directed by Joss Whedon, Man of Steel 2 is still looking for a director, much like the sequel to Justice League. All right. I will say this. Is it feasible that Andy Muschietti could be a name that's being bandied around for a Justice League 2? Absolutely. I mean, we just went over the reasons why he should be considered a valid candidate for it. However, I text messaged somebody last night who is not David Zaslav or Alan Horn. But I texted somebody yesterday who's a little bit on the inside, and I just brought that up. Now, you guys got to understand, I am not some Hollywood insider. 9 times out of 10 that I send out these emails or text messages, I just never get a response.
Sure.
But about 1 time out of 10 I do. And the response I got was, when I was asked about Andy Muschietti, Justice League 2, all they said was, I haven't heard of that. So, I mean, maybe that's worth something, maybe it's not. But the person I communicated with said, not something they even heard of. Doesn't mean it's not, couldn't be true. So what is Jason Momoa talking about when he says excited and maestro and all that kind of stuff? Well, first of all, maestro, understand what the maestro is, right? It's the conductor. It's right. you could call, many directors have been called maestro.
Many directors are called
As a
maestro.
matter of fact, there's a lot of actors who just refer to the director on set as maestro. They'll say, hey, maestro, what do you want to do here? Like, they'll just do that. It's not an uncommon thing. It's not like it happens every day, but it's not uncommon. My guess, and let me be clear, it is just a guess. When he's referring to maestro and saying, thank you, blah, blah, I think he's talking about James Gunn.
Yeah.
Because there's only one person now who has the power to do what the stuff he's talking about, and that's James Gunn, the new CEO of DC Films. So I don't think, and here's the other thing. I talked about all the reasons why maybe you should believe that Andy Muschietti could be the director of Justice League 2. Here's why I would put a cork in it for now. It's one thing for a studio to be excited about a movie they have coming out, but they know you got to see how the audience responds to it. Now, you don't worry about the box office. You don't worry about because that's the marketing department's responsibility, but you got to see how the audience responds to it. Because there have been a lot of movies by a lot of studios that studios had full belief in, and then it came out and people thought sucked eggs, right? Like Marvel was very enthusiastic about Thor: Love and Thunder. They were really, really high on that. And then we saw what happened that, while I liked the film, I didn't think it was nearly as good as Ragnarok, and there are a lot of people who straight up didn't like the film. So I cannot see this iteration of Warner Brothers, this regime at Warner Brothers, making the same mistake that previous regimes would have made by going ahead and hiring directors for Justice League 2, which, by the way, isn't even a movie yet, when they have not seen how the audience respond to Flash, because they can believe in it. We've heard great things about it, but we got to see how the audience responds. So I don't believe this. I do not think this is true, but I'm not going to shut the door on it because there's enough positives there to say that it could come to be, but I wouldn't buy it right now because I think Momoa was talking about James Gunn. Or it might not have had anything to do with Aquaman, or of course, James Gunn put up a Lobo poster on his Mastodon account, his new social media thing, which by the way is the social media I'm on now. Go and find me there if you want. But he put up that. So a lot of people think it was, Jason Momoa is going to be Lobo, whatever. But listen, it could have been any movie project for any studio. It might not even been, but my bet's going to be on James Gunn. Rob, you're hearing these rumors and reports. Andy Muschietti is going to be the director of Justice League 2, which there's not even a Justice League 2 right now.
No.
I don't know. And the Flash movie hasn't even come out, but there are some things in its pro column too. I don't know. What do you make of this?
Well, first of all, there's no reason to make a Justice League 2 because Justice League 1 didn't make any money. It's not like an Avengers movie. I mean, I wish fandom would be a little smarter when they jump on these rumors and understand more of the business elements of it all. Because if Justice League had made a $1.5 billion the way Avengers did, then you're talking. Then Warner Brothers is like, we got to fast track Justice League 2 with this new regime. And I'm sure this is not to say, look, I love the Justice League. Growing up, they were my favorite super team. But economically right now, how do you justify that? How do you justify that to shareholders? How do you get them excited about a Justice League movie when they look on a spreadsheet and go, what do we care? It didn't make money last time. Why are you going to spend it this time? I think it's something else. I don't know what that thing is. I don't think it's Justice League. I think it might be Aquaman related. It might not be. Maybe they greenlit Aquaman 3 with some extra added stuff because that would make more sense to me of all this. They're so happy with Aquaman 2 and what they've seen because they're deep into the, remember it got delayed. I think it was supposed to come out this Christmas. It was going to come out opposite Avatar. Aquaman
Right,
was.
yes.
So they probably have, this is my thing. If I had to theorize, I'll bet they've seen Aquaman, The Lost Kingdom and love it. But they're stuck in post because there's so much post-production for another year. I could see James Gunn saying, we're so happy about this movie and it looks so damn good, we're greenlighting Aquaman 3. We're going right into the third movie, which could make him pretty damn happy. And coming out of that meeting, he doesn't then have to worry about Aquaman 2. They've got the full force of the studio behind it or something like that. That's what I think it's probably about. That would be the simplest explanation for me. A Justice League 2 is a huge leap. And I think, sure, would they like to do a Justice League 2 someday? Yes. But I think they're smart enough to there's no reason to announce something like that now.
Or to hire your director for it, right?
Or to hire,
It would be like 3, 4, 5 years
And remember,
away.
you can't make a Justice League movie without, all of your talent is looking to do individual films. Making a Justice League movie, no, they'd rather top line their own movies. Making a Justice League film is not the kind of thing where Jason Momoa is going to go, great, let's be clear, he's got his own franchise that made $1 billion. That's what he wants. He's not interested in an ensemble piece.
But none of us would believe for a second, just to clarify, none of us in this room would believe, including you, that you would have a DC Studios that is not at some point eyeballing that at some point we got to do another Justice League.
100%.
100%.
100%. But not right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think, well, why would you do that?
No, there's no reason for a JL2 Electric Boogaloo.
Chris, you're hearing this. Number one, what was Jason talking about? Number two, do you buy into this theory that this rumor going around that Andy Muschietti is being talked to direct a Justice League 2? I don't know. What's your take on it?
How do we know he's not talking about John Williams? That's who I think of immediately.
Hey, John Williams is going to
I just love you, John Williams.
Movie.
You're doing great stuff for me. I would love that. I do think this is more about James Gunn. You know, I think this is more about the things he's posted on Mastodon, right? He wants to be the main man. He loves Lobo. He is Lobo. And that's a character, too, that you could still play Arthur and him because they are so wildly different aesthetically as well as in personality.
That's what we talked about.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's what you can do there. I think Andy Muschietti is definitely in talks to do more stuff with DC. You know, we've heard great things about Batman Flashpoint. So hopefully, then that's its name, and that's what I'm sticking to.
That's going to be the name, yeah.
But yeah, you have to wait until, you know, the paint has dried, so to speak, and see how everyone likes it. Even though an executive is saying this film looks great, right? Several executives, that is. We haven't seen how the public reacts to it. There have been tons of award darlings even in the past that are just, you know, this is definitely going to be a beautiful film. Look at Amsterdam. That movie was supposed to do great. And that bombed hard. The studio really believed in that. Now they're like, put it on streaming, just get it out of here. So the public is really going to decide if we move forward with things, and they're going to help decide whether or not Andy Muschietti is going to get another go at this.
Here's another question, kind of a side note here. The Lobo thing has come up. Of course, James Gunn posted that picture of Lobo and all that kind of stuff. But wouldn't something like Lobo, even with a Jason Momoa, because I think Jason Momoa would be everybody's like first pick to play Lobo. He is Lobo, even though he's already Aquaman. But wouldn't Warner Brothers be a little hesitant about a Lobo project at all, considering average moviegoers have never heard of Lobo, right? Much like Black Adam.
Yeah.
The average moviegoer had never really heard of Black Adam. But you had Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson starring in it, and that couldn't generate huge box office. So would Warner Brothers be all that excited about rushing forward with a Lobo project? I don't know.
No, that's why I think the obvious answer would be they've greenlit an Aquaman 3 before they don't have to wait until, he doesn't have to wait to see how it's going to perform a year from now.
Right. Or if they sign Jason to a long-term contract now.
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know, y'all. Okay, Taylor pulled up this great image, and if you expand down on it, he's on top of like some skulls. He's smoking his cigar. He's on radioactive waste. I don't know about the average moviegoer, but this is the tits. I love this. Like, if I didn't know anything about Lobo and I saw this image with Momoa, that's basically Momoa's face right there anyway.
Well,
if I
Jason
saw that,
Momoa and Rob Zombie having a baby.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
yeah.
Lobo.
What a terrifying union. But like, if I saw that poster though, and I had no idea about any of this, I'd be like, yes, I don't know what this is. Sign me up.
All right, guys. The question is for you. What do you think about all this? What was Jason Momoa talking about? Could Andy Muschietti be directing a Justice League 2? Rampant rumors flying around. Most of it probably not true, but maybe there are some pros to it. What do you guys think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, we're now going to move into a new regular weekly Wednesday feature, which is what's streaming next. We are going to look at what things are coming out on the big streaming platforms this week, just to keep it on your radar so you guys know what's coming out, and we'll give you some of our quick thoughts about it. So let's just dive right into what's streaming this week. Okay, we're going to start here with Wednesday, November 9th. That's today. The Crown Season 5 opens on Netflix today. It follows the political rivalries and romance of Queen Elizabeth II's reign and the events that shaped the second half of the 20th century. That's, of course, just a general synopsis for the overall show. But a lot of people love The Crown. The Crown Season 5 comes out today. We go down to also opening out today. It's out right now on Disney Plus. Something I didn't even know till about a week ago was a thing. Zootopia Plus is now on Disney Plus. It is 6 short stories, all about 10 minutes long. 6 short stories telling the adventures of the creatures of the most incredible metropolis, Zootopia. The one that I'm really excited to see is The Sloths Go to Dinner. What the premise of one is that there's this, I think it's a young rabbit, it's not Judy, a young rabbit who's a waitress, and she's trying to get out of work early to go to a concert, and there's nobody in the restaurant, so she thinks she'd be able to leave, and then the sloths show up to dinner. And she's trying to get out fast. I don't know. I haven't watched it. So
That's a great idea for a short.
It is a great idea for a short. So that is out on Disney Plus right now. Okay, we move over to Thursday, November 10th. This is one I wasn't really familiar with, but now that I've seen the trailer for it, I'm dying to watch this. The Big Brunch, which is on HBO Max. This is a cooking reality competition show. Chefs are offered the chance to share their stories and business dreams while going head-to-head for a life-altering prize. I believe the prize is $300,000. Hosted by Schitt's Creek's Taylor Gonzalez, Dan Levy. Bring your camera up. Are you sure that's not you?
You, Taylor.
I love these comparisons to Dan Levy. First of all, he is such a great role model to me, and then also I love his character in Schitt's Creek. But really quickly, speaking of Zootopia Plus, do you know who the composer is for the series?
No idea.
It's Michael Giacchino. He did the score for the whole Zootopia Plus. That's why I'm like really excited to see it.
That's
nice.
really interesting, actually. And listen, I watched the trailer for this, and I ain't gonna lie, it moved me. It's just another cooking competition show, but I'm a sucker for these, and HBO does them really well. Maybe even sometimes better than HGTV does, but and then the cooking channel and stuff like that. So, and I love good Canadian kid, Dan Levy. I love this guy, and he looks like he's going to be a great host for this thing. Okay, so that comes out tomorrow on Thursday, November 10th. Also coming out, I know this is the one everybody's excited about.
Yeah.
Lindsay Lohan is back in Falling for Christmas, coming out on Netflix. In the days leading up to Christmas, a young and newly engaged heiress experiences a skiing accident. After being diagnosed with amnesia, she finds herself in the care of the handsome lodge owner and his daughter, starring Lindsay Lohan.
Yes.
I watched this trailer. Oh my God, does this look shitty?
So
it looks
hyped.
But in the best way.
Yeah.
John,
In the better way.
Best way.
It's Tombstone Pizza, baby. Let's
rooting
go.
for her. We love a comeback situation.
Yes.
Lindsay Lohan forever. We're happy to see her healthy and married and back in her acting career. Like, who's not excited for her?
3 words, John.
What's that?
She grew up.
Oh.
Ew.
Oh boy.
Now, John, this might be lost on you.
I mean, she grew up. She grew up into like you said.
Yeah, you know.
She's a mature woman. She's gone through the wilderness. She made it through, just like Madonna sang about.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, stop while you're ahead. Chris?
Okay, so I know you don't drink, John, but man, Taylor and I are going to drink so many poinsettias
Jello
and watch
shot.
the shit out of this. It's going to be the
You
best.
don't think the premise looks a little watchable?
God, no.
It's overboard, but at Christmas.
but sucky. It looks so bad. And listen, I am a huge, I enjoy, not in the Chris Pratt outtakes of Parks and Rec way, but I love a comeback story.
Yeah.
Love a comeback story. And I was cheering. You remember the clip?
I did. I was like, wait, oh.
If you guys
went on
haven't
a
seen
journey.
that, look up Chris Pratt comeback on YouTube. It's one of the funniest outtakes ever in any show. But I mean, I would love this. I love comeback stories. Totally do. But I watched this. I'm like, okay, I see what Netflix is doing. They're going for the whole Hallmark thing, right? The Hallmark Christmas special thing. Absolutely are. Now, you could rightfully say, but John, the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special is doing the same thing. They're going for the Hallmark. Yeah, but it looked fun and it looked funny. This to me did not. I hope I'll be pleasantly surprised.
I think it's going to be more about the viewership, the nostalgia for the Lindsay Lohan fans. We're rooting for her.
There's
so I
gonna
feel
be
like
some
that's where
Jingle
the
Bell
viewership.
Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's dropping a
good.
single.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Over under 20%. Let's bring up the image here again, Taylor. Over under, I'll lower it to 15%. Over under 15% that Lindsay Lohan and the handsome lodge owner actually end up together at the end.
What? Do you think so?
No, I don't know. I think she gets her memory back and she goes back to her rich douchebag, right?
Oh,
Isn't that
man.
how these movies work?
I don't know, but it's going to be a real nail biter.
I'm going to suspend my disbelief.
She's not going to end up with anyone. She's going to be strong and confident and powerful all on her own. That's probably what they're going to do.
But then they'll still meet up for a cocoa afterwards.
Probably.
Yeah.
I think my favorite line of today's show is going to be a real nail biter. I think that is my favorite thing. All right. We move on from Falling for Christmas, coming out on Netflix tomorrow. We then move to Friday, and I'm excited about this one. Zac Efron's Down to Earth with Zac Efron. It makes its season 2 debut. I had not even heard of the first show when I walked in on and watching the first one. It's really fascinating. Zac Efron, it's a reality docuseries. He literally travels around the world, and they go to different countries that do really interesting things in sustainable energy and sustainable stuff like that. It's actually completely fascinating. I was really surprised by it, and I'm kind of looking forward to that coming back as well. So season 2 of that debuts on Friday. Also on Friday, my most exciting thing of the day, Mythic Quest season 3 comes out on Apple TV Plus. I love this show. Rob McElhenney, of course, co-owns Wrexham with
good.
Ryan Reynolds. I love the show. Now, I will say, I did not like the trailer for season 3. I thought the trailer for season 3 was lackluster, but it's just a trailer. I didn't like the trailers for the first season. That's why I was late getting on board at the show. But I love this show. Mythic Quest season 3 comes out on Friday. Then we move to Saturday, November 12th. I remember first watching the trailer for this. I'm so excited about this. Is That Black Enough for You? It's a documentary coming out on Netflix. It tracks the history of the black cinema, focused mainly on the 1970s, with archival and new interviews with many of the key players from the era. Of course, Lawrence Fishburne's in there, Samuel L. Jackson's in there, talking about, the role models they had growing up and how that evolved in the different eras. It looks fascinating.
It's Elvis Mitchell's documentary.
Is it?
Yeah, he directed it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he's done such a great job covering the industry for so long. I'm really looking forward to this.
Well, we'll comment on all these different ones as we get to the end here, but that's coming out on Netflix on Saturday. We move over to Sunday. This is a big day. This is a big day. First of all, I'm hearing nothing but good things for this new Sylvester Stallone show, Tulsa King. Following his release from prison, Mafia capo Dwight the General Manfredi is exiled to Tulsa, Oklahoma, where he builds a new criminal empire with a group of unlikely characters. I think the trailers for this have looked fantastic. The early word I've heard about is that it's really quite good. I'm very excited to see it. And that is going to be coming out on the same day following the best show on TV returns. Yellowstone season 5 debuts, comes out on Sunday. You know what? I said that Mythic Quest was my most exciting. No, this is the most exciting one. To me, this is the best show on TV right now. And I cannot wait for this thing to come back. And it's going to be great watching that back to back with Tulsa King. Then on Monday the 14th on Netflix, I don't know how to pronounce it. Stutz?
Yeah.
Stutz. This is the Jonah Hill documentary where he and his therapist talk. This follows Jonah Hill and his therapist as he is candid discussions of mental health and the progressively worsening anxiety attacks related to the movie promotions that have turned his dream job into a nightmare. You'll remember we talked about this a couple of months ago where Jonah Hill basically came out and said he's no longer going to be doing promotion for movies because it just kills him. Like it creates crippling anxiety for him. He's doing this documentary where him and his therapist actually talk about this stuff, which I think is really interesting. All right, then we move on to Tuesday, November 15th. Jurassic World, Camp Cretaceous, Hidden Adventure. I think couldn't they have made this title a little bit longer?
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit short. Coming to Netflix. Of course, this is the follow-up to the previous series. I got to admit, I didn't like the first season of this.
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I
I
wanted
did
to
too.
like it. It didn't really work for me all that much, but
That's
it
fair.
returns on Tuesday, November 15th on Netflix. So, Chris and Rob, let me go over to you. We got Jurassic, we got Yellowstone, Tulsa King, Stutz, Black Enough, Mythic, Down to Earth, like a bunch of things here. What stands out to you? What are you excited to see on this list, Rob?
Well, Lindsay Lohan's top list. But no, I think the Black Enough documentary, because, I'm a fan. I've been a fan of Elvis Mitchell for a long time. I really want to see what he brings to that. But that's, again, a documentary. For me, it's got to be Tulsa King. Only because as a long time Stallone fan, him being a mob boss and looking at the tone of the show, it's a Tyler Sheridan show. I can't wait.
And it's also a little bit of a fish out of water thing because he's been
Yeah.
in prison for 20 years.
Everything about it looks because Stallone looks like he gets to lean into comedy, and when he does and he's good, it's a lot of fun. And it just looks, I love mob stories. It looks very appealing to me on a number of different levels. And then, of course, Yellowstone. I mean,
Both Tyler Sheridan
what a
shows.
1-2 punch.
Chris, what's standing out to you in this list?
Well, I mean, a glaring omission. Today is the season finale of Love is Blind.
Yeah, we don't
Are they
really
getting
cover
married?
finales.
What?
I thought you were going to say the other glaring omission that I actually took off the list.
Yeah, Chris.
Teletubbies.
Oh, well, you know,
I
I know
opted not
Taylor's
to have
heart broke it.
Teletubbies on the list, but yes, the new Teletubbies does also come out this week. I didn't think a lot of people would
That's
be
fair.
interested.
That's fair. I really like the idea of the big brunch. I think that'll be delightful, and I love Dan Levy a lot. I obviously am a huge Christmas movie fan. I will watch anything as long as it is Yuletide cheer. But the thing I think I'm most excited about, honestly, is probably Stutz. I think that is going to be really, really fascinating. And I love how candid and open Jonah Hill is willing to be for this. I think it's going to be a really important watch because I think a lot of people need to have that voyeuristic experience before they can go on their own mental health journey to go, oh, okay, I'm not alone in this. It is normal to feel anxious. I think everyone has some level of anxiety, especially after the last few years, you know, being reintroduced to society, even for someone like me who, you know, socialization is my yellow sun. And I've found myself having a hard time in social situations, or sometimes even on this show, I get really, really nervous now in a way that I didn't before.
I know.
And
Jonah
so,
Hill, Jonah Hill, I saw him in interviews, and the questions that some interviewers were asking him was awful.
they're wildly inappropriate.
Don't they normally ask him about his weight?
They constantly
Yeah.
ask him
Always
about
ask
his
him
weight.
about
and
his
he
weight,
would just look at them like, what are we doing here?
And you see
What are we
that
doing?
from a lot of different, you know, news organizations too, just asking the most wildly audacious questions
Yeah.
that you would not ask a person in polite conversation,
Yeah.
let alone in a professional situation. And I don't know how we got to that point. So I'm really excited to see his perspective on, you know, the promotional aspect of filmmaking and just his own independent journey.
Also, this, I got to say, the trailer, his therapist that this is really, he looks fascinating.
He's a character.
I mean, it looks like it's going to be my dinner with Andre for the modern age. And
Oh, good comparison.
I just am like, I'm so in for this.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Question is for you. With this rundown of all the stuff that's coming out this week, what of these things are standing out to you, if any of them? Whatever one is standing out to you, jump down to the comments section below and let us know there. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 4 here, shall we? Kaylee, what is our 4th main topic today?
Fourth main topic comes from James Lockman. Aloha, John and crew. With the disappointments of the Boba Fett and Obi-Wan shows, Andor has consistently week after week given me my Star Wars fix, and episode 10 was no different. Andy Serkis' performance was great, and it's wonderful to watch Stellan Skarsgård every time he's on screen. And hats off to Tony Gilroy. Because of what happened to the prisoners in last week's episode, he's got me looking at the Empire in an even more evil and sinister light. What do you think of the latest episode? Thanks, and bring on the filthy. I love Skarsgård. He's in one of my favorite movies of all time, Good Will Hunting. Love watching that man act. But did you guys watch Andor, the latest episode?
I did. And, you know, you don't want to make big proclamations about shows that haven't even finished their season yet. But I'm going to now.
Yeah.
This show's a masterpiece. Yeah. And, you know, I don't like to use that word an awful lot. This show, Andor, is an absolute bona fide masterpiece. You could say, this is how you know how good this thing is. You could say it has nothing to do with Star Wars. You could take this show and kind of maybe drop it in a different made up dystopian sci-fi environment, and it's still a masterpiece. You put it in the Star Wars universe in the context of the formation of the rebellion and all that kind of stuff, and it just heightens it even more. Rob, I say it every week, I keep waiting for this show to have a week episode.
Yeah.
And it never comes. And this one, you know, we knew it was going to be the big prison. Like we've been talking all week about it. Is the Prison Break episode is coming. The Prison Break episode is coming. And I was ready to be let down by it. And oh my God. And then they cap it off with one of the best, what's the word I'm looking for, Chris, when somebody, it's not a soliloquy, but when one actor kind of gives just
A monologue?
A monologue. Maybe the
Way to go, theater
single
school.
greatest monologue in all of Star Wars ever.
Damn.
Stellan Skarsgård, we won't talk about the content of it. We'll go more into it. Little reminder, guys, a little bit later today at 3 p.m. Los Angeles time, we will be doing our Andor episode 10 open spoiler discussion after show, where we'll go into all the spoilers then. So I won't give the spoilers of the content of the monologue. But Stellan Skarsgård, just as you thought the show was over, and what else can you do to top this? They throw in this scene with Stellan Skarsgård where he gives a monologue that I have no problem telling you I believe is the single greatest monologue ever in any Star Wars ever. And it moved me. And our buddy Kevin Rubio actually texted out. He got his hands on the actual script of it, the dialogue that was actually, and texted it to us. I'm even just reading it. I got chills just reading it. And of course, you got the fucking man, Stellan Skarsgård, delivering it in such a way. And the monologue builds in intensity. He starts talking. And as he's going, you feel the intensity in it as he delivers this monologue. And then it ends, and I'm just like, I can't believe I'm seeing this kind of Star Wars. It is so bloody good. I am floored by it every week. I can't wait to talk about it in an open spoiler discussion. And listen, you thought Andy Serkis was good last week? Next level for Andy Serkis here.
Oh, yay.
Because as the character goes through something, you see the disposition of him change. And he's no longer this one kind of, it's unbelievable. I love heist films and escape things and stuff like that. It's touching and heartbreaking and powerful and inspiring. And then that monologue damn it, this show is great. Anyway, Rob, you saw the episode. What did you think of the episode last night?
Dude, I was stunned by the end of this episode. I was absolutely stunned. And first of all, anything where Cassian Andor has a blaster in his hand and is shooting fools, I'm into. But Andy Serkis also, I watched I don't know if it was Screen Rant. He did an interview with one of the outlets for this show. And it's the only interview that I came across on YouTube where he speaks extensively about this story. And he talks about coming up with his own backstory for this character and how, he's basically a normal guy on the straight and narrow, but he was mouthy. He was like a firebrand. And that's what, in his mind, he got put away. But he's trying to, even though he got put away by the Empire, he's trying to do the right thing this whole time. And he's trying to keep his men straight, so he's going to get out and make sure everybody makes it out and keep his men squared away. And when he finds out he's conflicted, this episode, his performance in this episode, because you could see he wasn't totally down, like he was scared to death.
Right,
about
but
what was
let's not give too much away.
right. But I mean, in terms of his performance, the way he went through this and this backstory, after having watched this interview, I went back and watched. He has a pretty good monologue too.
Yeah, he does.
And I was watching his performance, and I saw this backstory that he gave his own character, and God, he was good. And I kept wondering, I kept waiting the whole time. I'm like, is he gonna make it? Should I?
Again, be careful.
Yeah, no, but his performance from 1 minute to the next. I mean, the guy was incredible. I mean, he was incredible. His performance, he took me through this emotional journey. I'm like, and then you got Stellan Skarsgård.
By the way, I am going to, if you don't want to even hear a single line of dialogue out of context, just mute your computer for a second. But I do, E2 Live in the live chat reminded me of this line. I got to at least say this line, okay? It won't give you anything away as to the details of the plot of the episode or anything like that, but I am going to mention this one line because it shook me. Line Stellan Skarsgård says, "I burn my life to make a sunrise that I know I'll never see."
Ooh, that's good.
That's writing. That is right. I burn my life to make a sunrise that I know I'll never see.
Chills.
God damn. That was
Dude,
so good.
I mean, it's one for that is a monologue that is going to be in acting classes from the now until the end of time. I'm sure some industrious young actor is going to go deliver that in class tonight.
Now, Chris, unlike me, you did not stay up till 4:30 in the morning.
No.
You have a pattern where you watch it the next day before the Andor after
Yes,
show.
I typically either watch it in the morning. I didn't today because I had a VO audition, or I go watch it in my office. And I'm very hyped for it now. I mean, I was before, but ooh, it's going to be juicy. And Rob didn't spoil it for me.
My God, this
He got me
speech.
excited about it.
This monologue is so good. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Did you have a chance
I'm
to see
glad.
Andor episode 10? If so, what did you think of it? Maybe you think it wasn't that good. Maybe you're like us and you thought it was awesome. Whatever you guys thought about it, jump down to the comment section below and leave us your thoughts. All right, guys. Told you today was a full day. Let's now move on to main topic number 5. Kaylee, what is our 5th main topic today?
Fifth main topic comes from Matt D. Hi, John and crew. Variety is reporting that Lucasfilm plans to develop an Indiana Jones show for Disney+. Given Harrison Ford's clearly stated upcoming retirement from the character, what are your thoughts on whether this could be a young Indiana Jones Chronicles reboot or following another character from the movies? Do you think this is looking like a young Indiana Jones series?
Listen, I have said from the beginning, it doesn't matter what Steven Spielberg says. It doesn't matter what Harrison Ford says. There is gonna, because I've heard I heard the chance saying, oh yeah, this is gonna be the last thing of Indiana Jones. Yeah, they're not gonna make more Indiana Jones. You can't do more Indiana Jones without Harrison, blah, blah, blah. I've said there is no way. This IP is too well known and too popular to just let die. Did I think they would move on something real quick after the last Harrison Ford Indiana Jones movie? No. But we always knew within a few years, like 5-6 years, there was going to be more Indiana Jones. It doesn't matter what anybody says. You have to. It's too valuable of an IP to just let sit and collect dust on a shelf, right? But it looks like they might be moving on it faster than I thought. This comes to us from the folks over at Variety who write the following. They said this: Disney is actively looking to develop an Indiana Jones TV show for Disney+. Variety has learned exclusively from our sources. The Mouse House and Lucasfilm has specifically been bringing up the possibility of a streaming show set in the world of the globe-trotting archaeologist in general meetings with writers of late, sources say. They are still looking for a writer to take on the project, thus no plot details are available. Given that, it is unknown if a series would serve as a prequel to or a spin-off of the film franchise, or if it would tie into the upcoming 5th Indiana Jones film, similar to how Disney has tied its Marvel shows on Disney Plus into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That comes to us from Variety. Okay, so no details, and even Variety is saying, we're not sure if this is a prequel, so a younger Indiana Jones, or if this is a spin-off, another character, right? Again, we were talking about Disney is all about their shared cinematic universes, right? I will say this, and it's purely a guess. It ain't a spinoff. I don't think it's a spinoff because I think Lucasfilm has to know nobody cares. Nobody cares about an Indiana Jones-less Indiana Jones world movie. There's never been a character in Indiana Jones that, I mean, listen, I love Sala and Short Round and as much as anybody. But nobody wants, there's never been a character in Indiana Jones that anybody's thought for 1 second, I'd watch a spin-off standalone of that. Maybe his dad, maybe Sean Connery's character. But I really don't see anybody in the world caring about an Indiana Jones-less Indiana Jones show. No way. So I think, and again, this is just me speculating, I think it's got to be talking about a younger Indiana Jones. Going back to the era of the Nazis, doing what Indiana Jones does best, fighting Nazis, retrieving relics from their hideous, heinous hands and all that kind of stuff. Is this something we could see within the next 3 years? Maybe. I mean, they might want to have something kind of ready to at least go into production after the new movie comes out, because if the new movie's popular, and we don't know that it will be, but if it is, they're probably going to want to capitalize on that momentum. I don't know, Chris, you hear about this, that it looks like Disney wants to get the ball rolling on a Indiana Jones Disney Plus show. How much authenticity do you think there is to this? What could something like this look like? Could it even work? What do you think?
I mean, I think there's a lot of authenticity to this. I think this is an IP they really want to capitalize on, right? Especially with the new film coming out. I assume it'd be young Indy, because I mean, do we really want to know like what happens with the George Hall version of Indiana Jones? Why does he have an eye patch? What happened to him in his old age? I hope we also, though, learn from the missteps of the Chronicles of Young Indiana Jones, because that show with Sean Patrick Flannery, who was great in Boondock Saints, not so much in Young Indiana Jones. 28 episodes that I did not care about. And I really, really hope we find a solid writer who can bring the fun and the wit and witticism of Indiana Jones. But it's hard to also pair all of that with the, iconoclast performance we get from Harrison. That is Indy to me. And I don't know if I want to see a younger actor even being that wry archaeologist, I think there's a lot of potential here, but I think there's also a lot of ways this could go wrong.
Rob, you see this? What do you think is going to happen here? Does it have potential?
No, I don't think this is ever going to happen. And I don't think it's ever going to happen because, one, we've seen what happened before. You had baby Indiana Jones, teen Indiana Jones, old Indiana Jones. And the problem is they're locked into a specific time period with this. And I think it's a time period audiences aren't particularly interested in. And unless you're going to go, like they did in the Young Indiana Jones, they did some great jazz episodes in the jazz era, and they did a pretty spectacular World War I two-parter. I think it was a two-parter. That was great. But the rest of the show, the problem is This is a big screen franchise, and unless you can duplicate these kinds of swashbuckling action sequences, which are difficult to make, and they're expensive, and they're hard to do correctly, it's just, and they took kind of that out of it in the TV show, and you saw it's like, well, let's have them go into the jazz era, and they tried to send the Indiana Jones because there are only so many artifacts in the world you can look for, and I don't think the show worked. And I don't care who they get. I don't care how well written it is. I just think that Indiana Jones doesn't. And having read the Marvel comics and stuff like that too, I don't think they can make enough of a show. No, I'm happy to be proven wrong, but I don't think they can't even get a Star Wars movie off the ground. And they're going to get an Indiana Jones show, and we've already seen what it looked like. Or maybe they'll do another movie. I don't know.
Well, I mean, a couple things to remember. That was a completely different set of people that tried to get an Indiana
Right.
Jones show going
Of
before.
course.
Right? And I agree with both of you. I mean, it didn't work.
It didn't work.
I 1,000% guarantee you this is going to happen.
Oh, wow.
1,000% guarantee. Because I tell you what, you're a Disney exec. There's no way you lose your job real quick if you have an IP like Indiana Jones and you don't at least take a swing at the bat to try to keep that kind of valuable franchise alive. They'll absolutely do it. And I've seen a good amount of adventure shows. And again, I would say this works if you take it back to the Nazi era. Because everybody loves fighting Nazis. So you got Indiana Jones again with his main antagonist being the Nazis. And I think there's a lot of potential. But I do agree that there's also potential for it to go bad in many, many, many ways.
Yeah, I just don't think because the character's not a soldier.
No.
You know, he's an archaeologist, and there's how many archaeological stories can you set? But I agree, you got to go back to that era. But we've already seen, they're going back to the Nazi era again in this upcoming movie.
Yeah, but we could say we've already seen Tom Cruise fly the F-14, but people love it, right? We want to
Bunch of Nazis.
Yeah, once every
think-
36 years, John.
But I'm telling you, I think they can. I think there's a lot of ways this could work because I think just a good. I think the world right now needs. I think television needs a good, pure adventure series. We had several good ones in the 90s. I think we are due for another good one.
I also think it's going to be contingent upon how well the new Indiana Jones movie
No
does.
doubt. You are 1,000% right about that. Like, absolutely. Because the new Indiana Jones tanks, then they'll still do an Indiana Jones series, but instead of like 3 or 4 years later, it'll be maybe 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years down the road.
And look, I would like to see if they could make a good series. I'm just dubious. Especially I'm dubious that Disney itself can come up with something great.
Someone in the chat brought up there is what's his name? National Treasure, the series too.
Yeah, I mean, so they've
Jason
got the
Frost.
National Treasure series.
Yeah.
So they're kind of getting into this idea of these adventure series on television. But you know what? Not just the new Indiana Jones movie. Maybe they're going to also keep an eye to see if this National Treasure series works. Because if nobody watches it, nobody cares. That might give them pause. But guys, question is for you. Reports coming out that Disney wants to do an Indiana Jones series. I absolutely believe it's true, and I think they will do it. But maybe you don't. Maybe for the reasons Rob mentioned, maybe for other reasons. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, we're going to now open up the super chats. If you guys have a thought, theory, question, or opinion that you'd like us to address on the show, go ahead and fire that in now. We're only going to leave it open for a couple of minutes, so get it in quickly. But before we get to those, we want to take a second and thank the main sponsor of our show, our friends at Mint Mobile. Guys, we want to take a second to thank the sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month. And now for the plot twist. I'm just kidding. There isn't one. Mint Mobile just has premium wireless from $15 a month. There's no trapping you into a 2-year contract or opening the bill to find all these crazy fees. There's no luring you in with free subscriptions to streaming services that you'll forget to cancel and be charged full price for. With my old wireless provider, every month when I opened the bill, it was like playing roulette. I never knew how big the bill was going to be, and it always seemed to get bigger. With Mint Mobile, it's totally different. I know exactly how little I'm paying every month, and there's never any surprises. Mint Mobile gives you the best rate whether you're buying for one or a family. And at Mint Mobile, families start at just 2 lines. All plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. And guys, you get to use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with all your existing contacts. contacts, so transferring over couldn't be easier. So to get premium wireless from just $15 a month and no unexpected plot twists, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. You'll make your wallet very happy at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to Ryan Reynolds and Mint Mobile for giving me my favorite phone service I've ever had, making me pay less than a third of what I normally pay. Guys, go down the description, check out the link to Mint Mobile, make sure you use the Campea promo code and check them out. All right, with that down, guys, let's wrap up today's show by going over to the Super Chats and hearing from you and what you guys have to say. So, Kaylee, what do we got in there?
We have something from Zach Marcello. Thank you for your gift to us. My favorite episode of Andor so far. The acting and writing in this show is next level. Can we appreciate the quiver delivered by Genevieve O'Reilly?
Oh,
Which I don't know who.
Mon Mothma.
Oh my God, that whole scene.
Oh my God, that was so good.
Scene was so good.
I mean, I was like, in your face. That was so good.
I
Yeah.
haven't even seen it.
And there was without going into, there's a little Game of Thrones going on in that scene there, and it's like, whoo, it just crap got good.
Oh man.
Oh, all right. Anyway, what's next?
Next up, Andy, thank you so much. If Narkina 5 and Andor wanted more efficient slave labor, they should have enlisted the NCAA to help them.
Oh,
I'm just the messenger. I'm just reading it.
yeah. No.
Kaylee,
Let's
you're
move on.
perfect. And
That's
do
good.
better.
Not go over well.
What's next?
Next up, Chef Rigo.
Chef Rigo!
Woo! The Terminal movie made the man I am today, Ray.
Aw.
See? People know it. When you grow up, you start to appreciate terminal. Obviously, John's still in kindergarten.
Spielberg
What did you
for
say
adults.
yesterday?
He's mentally kindergarten-y.
The Terminal is Tom Hanks for grown-ups.
No, Spielberg for adults.
Spielberg
Yeah.
for grown-ups.
Yeah,
That's
for
what it
adults.
is.
Yep.
God, that movie's bad. But I'm glad you like it.
Come on. How
Come on.
you
It's,
gonna make a movie about being stuck in an airport but make you smile the whole time?
well,
how
they
do you
didn't
do
do
that?
it, so
Hey,
I
I was
don't
going
know.
to say, jury's out.
Here's how.
Okay.
All right, what's next?
Casey Mack.
love you.
Did you guys see the new Del Toro's Pinocchio trailer that came out today? Looks great. Probably will be better than the other Pinocchio film that came out recently.
Would it be really difficult to be better than the other Pinocchio?
What a high
I'm pretty
bar.
sure Ray could put his sock on his
Yeah.
hand and talk into the microphone, and it would be better than the other Pinocchio.
I will say this one thing about this Guillermo del Toro Pinocchio. I don't need to watch any trailers. I'm watching this. From what I've seen from the pics, I don't need to watch any trailers.
Well, the
I'm
trailer
definitely
dropped
watching this.
just before we did the show. I didn't have a chance to look at the
I
trailer.
didn't either,
so
but I-
we'll
I'm in.
probably talk about it on
Playing
the
it
show
right
tomorrow.
now, and it's stunning. Oh, my God.
I can't wait, though. I can't wait. All right, what's next?
Next up, Matt Sanders. Thank you so much. Hey guys, just wanted to say Andor was great today. The guy that Mon met up with looked like he was plucked right out of the 70s. I could have had more sideburns and mustaches though.
Listen, I will say this. One of the things this show has done is that every once in a while you come across a number of characters, including the one that Stellan Skarsgård was talking at the end, that facial hair, haircut, and everything, they make them look like George Lucas era Star Wars Imperials, right? They have gone out of their way to do that. And I've not all the characters, but they throw them in there to make it really feel like you're at home in Star Wars.
Do you know what I also love about this show and what that particular little storyline is? They've had to create reasons why characters get pushed into the rebellion.
Yeah.
Like why this is going to happen. And they're all different. And in this case, this was a very interesting turn of events that I was not expecting for her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. I mean, what is one of the big problems marriages suffer from? Financial
Well,
difficulties.
don't go into don't go into
No one's gonna know.
details.
They don't even know what her problem
But
is.
still, but that's.
But I liked it. I thought it was really, that was not something I expected.
All right, what's next?
Next up, Ulatan. Thank you so much. Any updates for Sheridan's Bass Reeves series?
I don't know anything about it.
I guess Tyler Sheridan's. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm.
I don't-
So Claire, we don't have any updates on that, unfortunately. I'll keep my eyes open for it though. All right, what's next?
Next up, Bright. Thank you so much for
Thank
your
you, Bright. Sends in a $20
$20.
super chat. Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Off topic, but I don't know if you guys saw the Parkland shooting court videos, but the public defenders flipped off the courtroom. I saw that and threatened the judge's kids. John, does crazy stuff like this usually happen in court?
I have no idea what we're talking about.
I do. The
so
Parkland.
what happened? What's the basic gist of it?
So the basic gist, the Parkland shooter trial, all the victims' families are saying their last, their closing statements to the shooter. And the shooters attorneys have been kind of funky the whole trial. One of them casually flipped off the camera and laughed about it with the mass murderer. Not even kidding. Not even kidding. You can Google it. It's wild. Saw it this morning.
What are you thinking? Like, judges and juries see this.
Yeah.
and
Like, they're chummy.
If you don't think
They're
that
chummy.
affects them,
It's been a wild court
all
case.
right. Well,
Yeah.
That's
Hey,
not
listen.
typical, guys. That's
wherever there
usually
are
how
people, there are
conduct
going to be
themselves.
morons.
Yeah.
Wherever there are people, there are going to be morons. All right.
Crazy.
What's next?
All right. CJ Rebirth. The songs in Spirited are fire, and it has lots of great moments that aren't in the trailer. Thank you, Mint Mobile. I mean, Ryan Reynolds.
By the way, has it come out on?
Did it drop?
Here's what happened. It was Regal Cinema's Mystery Monday movie. So, like, which I kind of thought, I predicted that would be the Mystery Monday movie. But yeah, you pay $5 to go to a mystery movie, and it was Spirited. But has it actually dropped? I don't think it's dropped on Apple Plus yet. has
It says it comes out November 11th. So whoever
Yeah.
made that list,
That's today.
They were focused on Teletubbies and forgot to put Spirited.
Yeah, so there you go. So, no, today is the 9th.
Oh, isn't it?
The 11th's in a couple of days. So,
Oh, I was thinking, why do I think today's Friday?
but a bunch of people have seen it because it was the Regal Mystery Monday. And I've heard a lot of people wrote in. I did a John Campea After Dark the other day, and a lot of people wrote in saying, we just got back from the Mystery Monday. It was Spirited. We loved it, blah, blah. I've gone from not liking the first trailer to liking the second trailer. Now, because of you guys, I'm legitimately excited to see this movie. So that's a good thing. All right. Thanks a lot for that. And thank you again for supporting.
I noticed it wasn't on our what's streaming this week list.
Yeah,
though.
I don't know who put that list together.
That's
Who
what Taylor
made
said.
that
I'm
list?
just saying,
Who
Lindsay
did
Lohan
that?
made that list, but
Because she's a
Chris-
queen.
Yes, there you go.
All right. What's next?
Next, South Texas Shark. I would have loved to seen an Overwatch animated series.
What's Arcane based on again? League of Legends?
League of Legends.
League of Legends, yeah. What story is there to tell about Overwatch? I mean, it would be like Arcane. You'd have to take it and then just create your own story and just say it's in the world of Arcane or say it's in the world of Overwatch. So maybe. That's just me throwing a wet blanket on everybody's enthusiasm today. All right, thanks for writing that in, man. All right, what's next?
Next, Raymond, thank you so much. R.I.P. Carlos Pacheco, the artist of Avengers Forever. It would be a great movie with Kang. Then I realized Brie Larson is in the MCU. Captain Marvel can still work, and Endgame was also about time lost heroes.
I'll be honest, I have no idea what Raymond's talking about.
Well, Carlos Pacheco is a great comic artist,
Right.
and I
Yeah.
saw that it passed away very young. I think he's in it. Was it 62? Rob Liefeld tweeted this out this morning, and that's when I saw.
Oh,
it.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's really sad because we lost Kevin O'Neill and Carlos Pacheco in the same week.
And
A
he
big
was-
loss.
What
to the
was the
industry.
whole? I don't understand. What was the Brie Larson thing? What was? I don't understand.
Oh
what
well,
any of that
Avengers
was about.
Forever was a great. I like that storyline where there was many time traveling Avengers kind of a thing.
Okay.
And I think he was just making jokes about Brie Larson being in there, but
Oh, Brie Larson's an awesome Captain Marvel. I love her as Captain Marvel.
I do too.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carlos
All right.
Pacheco had a really long battle with ALS though. So
Oh, was that?
Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't know that. All right. What's next?
Next up, Stubble McShave. I like many foreign titles on Netflix. All Quiet on the WF
Western Front. Yeah.
was impactful and really good. I enjoyed the crater scene, if enjoy is the right word.
You watched this
Oh,
already.
dude, it's incredible. I mean, it is so. It's also harrowing, but it's incredible. And as I said, it's Germany's entry into the Academy Awards. I think it's going to win. You should watch. It's amazing. Although I have to say this, it's not exactly the most joyful thing you're going to watch.
All right. What's next?
Next up, Bond Presents. Pretty sure Luthen is the most badass character in the Star Wars universe right now. He was basically Batman in that scene.
No, he's Batman in the Star Wars universe.
Yes.
That's what he is. He's the most dangerous man alive, as Superman refers to Batman as. He is the Batman of this universe. He's the one. He's the one behind the scenes, pulling the Bat family together, all this kind of stuff. He has the same darkness that Batman has. He's cognizant of his own darkness. I freaking love this character. He's stealing the show from me.
And I got to tell you, Hot Toys, please make this iteration of the character, whatever he's wearing, I don't know what that is, his robe call with. I want a figure with that outfit on.
I agree. All right, what's next?
Next up, Matt Boyle.
Who
Thank
also
you
sent
so
a $20
much.
super chat. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that, man.
Hey, Chris, this should have been the cast of the Fellowship of the Rings. Gandalf, Burt Reynolds, Aragorn, Kurt Russell, Gimli, Danny DeVito, Legolas, Pauly Shore. Stay tuned for the rest of the Fellowship.
Oh, Matt, why do you want to hurt me?
Yeah.
Why?
Wow.
Why?
That's a pretty awful list. Actually, it didn't start bad.
No, I
Not
was like,
great,
this
but not bad.
This is our. I mean,
Shore.
who wouldn't want Gandalf laying on a bearskin rug, being like, ladies?
Or driving a Camaro.
Yeah, I think it'd be great. But Pauly Shore, who I love for the Leaning Tower of Cheesa forever. No, how dare you make him Legolas? How dare you, Matthew?
All right, what's next?
What's this, sour cream?
Andy, Chris is right. There's nothing on the CW. Only show worth watching is Superman and Lois. Everything else about the CW is burning itself like Riverdale.
Ooh.
Yeah, I was really enjoying Superman and Lois, which is funny because I hated this Superman character. I hated the way they introduced him in Supergirl and they made him a jobber and all that kind of stuff. But then I decided to try Superman and Lois and I really quite liked it until they brought in Diggle. The episode that they brought in Diggle, it was like, there was this traumatic event for me where I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. It's part of that same universe. It's that same Superman. And I just mentally checked out. I didn't choose to, it just happened. I mentally checked out of it. But I've heard many people tell me that the show continued to be really, really good. And they actually did something in the show to definitively say, this is separate from the Arrowverse. This is not the same thing. It's a totally separate thing. So I completely plan on getting back on this show and trying, because I was really liking it. I was really enjoying it. So I got to get caught up on it at some point, but it doesn't sound like it's going to last too much longer.
But it's on HBO Max, isn't it? Am I wrong?
Or is it
now?
moving to HBO Max?
Oh.
I
I don't
remember.
know if it is. I mean, I thought that it
Like, again, I haven't watched it for a while, so I don't know where it
I thought it
is.
was going to live there or something. I don't know.
All right, I'll check that out. All right, what's next?
Next, Raphael. The Whale trailer. I shed tears. Do you ever get the feeling people are incapable of not caring? People are amazing. I swear that is something Brendan Fraser truly believes.
He made me believe it.
Yep, me too.
Yeah.
Again, I have, you cannot say from a trailer, give that guy the Oscar. But I did it with the Whale trailer. Just that last line as he's looking at, I assume is his daughter, Sadie Sink, and says that line, something in me broke. I mean, I just from the trailer, I get all the Oscar hype he's getting now. I cannot wait to watch it. It's going to be amazing. All right, what's next?
Green Knight. New Quantum Leap doesn't measure up to the original, and now with rumors of being canceled with only a few episodes. What do you guys think? I saw it. I was rooting for it. I agree. It's a no bueno.
Nothing about it looked
Bummer.
appealing to me.
I know.
None of the trailers looked interesting. Nothing in it had a hook to get me to go, ooh, like at least even La Brea.
Yeah.
Oh God.
But even La Brea,
I watched it all.
the first
The tartar pig?
the trailers had a hook, right? There was a
Right.
hook to that trailer where it's like, oh, mysterious thing, people fall through. I mean, there was a hook there. With Quantum Leap, this iteration of Quantum, there was nothing that made me think, oh, I got to watch this. Now, again, I'm not crap talking the show because I haven't seen it, but I am crap talking the way it advertised because it made me have zero interest in it.
It's bad.
I was really hoping it would deal with the actual finale of the original too, because that was just heartbreaking. Of Sam Beckett never returned home.
Right.
Of what? He never gets home? And I really wanted them to explore that.
It was rough. It was kind of painful. I'll even say that. It was painful.
Ooh,
And
that's
to
a
go
bummer.
back to La Brea, it was all good until they fell into that hole. I really
Isn't
love
that the
show.
beginning of the show?
Yes.
Up until
It
that.
was all good until
And,
it
you know,
started.
Until the
premise
plot
started.
began, yeah.
it is so uninteresting. They fall into like the most uninteresting era
I
they
know.
could possibly have
It's like
fallen
a camping
into.
ground.
Yeah.
It's like a
But
camping
you watched
ground.
it all?
Oh, we're in
You
camp.
watched it? The
Oh
whole
yeah, I
season?
watched the whole thing all the way
kept
through.
you
He does that
going?
to himself.
I
Why?
do that with these shows that have what I call an impossible premise.
Yeah.
I want to see are the writers smart enough to take this premise that can't go anywhere. It's never going to go anywhere. It was a smart, and it didn't.
All right, we need to keep rolling. I will say one CW show that we should all, of course, be paying attention to is Nancy Drew, because of course our own
Yes.
Ann Cummings is now on Nancy Drew. All right, sorry.
Canceled.
All right, what's next?
Next up, Orange Hand. I remember an old Simpsons joke involving the Warner Brothers singing frog. We're proud to present on the WB another bad show that no one will see.
Listen, they have done. Oh my God, there it is.
Oh,
All right.
my baby.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, listen. Say what you want about The Simpsons and whether it ran its course and maybe it's been going on longer than it should. Whatever. Historically, it will be looked back on as one of the funniest shows. They have done some stuff in that show that has just been outrageously crazy good. They even still crank out some gems. Even today, some of the episodes they crack out are some
Treehouse of
gems.
Horror was so good this year.
Yeah.
I didn't see that. I heard really good things about
That's
it.
the only Simpsons I watch.
Is that
That's
the
usually
Halloween
what I tune into
special?
too, yeah.
All right, what's next?
Next, Matt Boyle. Hey, Chris, is the rest of the cast for Fellowship? Oh, we already did that one. Oh, no, another one. For Fellowship of the Rings, Boromir, Kevin Bacon, Frodo, Justin Long, Mary, Vince Vaughn, Pippin, Paul Rudd. Okay. Samwise, Peter Dinklage, and Gollum, Mickey Rourke. Okay, wow. She's humped over on her desk.
Okay, wait a minute.
She's
Wait a
humped
minute.
over.
You may have saved it with Mickey Rourke as Gollum.
Yeah, maybe.
You might have saved it with Mickey Rourke as Gollum.
Paul
Chris,
Rudd.
though, looks like she wants to drink right now.
Pretty cute.
I mean, I always do, but particularly in this moment.
You made her detention, Chris.
Sent her over the edge.
This casting list is not, as Chris Carr would say, the tits.
It is not.
It is not. So.
It is a big old pile of, why would you do this to me?
But the Mickey Rourke is Gollum. You might have me there.
I mean, that could be fun.
All right, what's next?
Evil Broomstick. Andor is okay for me so far. I love the dark tone, but the characters are kind of forgettable. And there's no aliens. It's Star Wars, not human wars.
Have you never watched Star Wars? All the main characters are always human. That's
Except Chewbacca.
Except but the main characters. Chewbacca was a fourth character at best. But I mean, that's Star Wars. And actually, if you understand the texture of Star Wars, that's a very important theme. Like the inherent, I'm not even going to say racism, the speciesism.
We don't serve their kind
Yeah,
here.
but it's more than that too, because in that bar there was a lot of aliens.
Yeah.
But the speciesism of the Empire is a major theme within the world of Star Wars too, right? That's why Grand Admiral Thrawn, being an alien who had risen to such a rank, was so unfathomable at the time, because non-humans did not advance in the Empire. So that's actually a pretty cool thing. I personally find almost all the characters incredibly memorable. But again, it's a piece of art. It hits us all in different ways. And if the characters aren't doing it for you, the characters aren't doing it for you. Nothing wrong with that. But I just got to say, they are working for me quite a bit. All right, what's next?
Next, King Ricardo. Just wanted to say love you guys and thanks for keeping me happy. That is so sweet.
Oh, thank you, King Ricardo. I appreciate that very much. Listen,
Kindness.
we love doing this show, and we come into the show every day knowing, hey, let's make it a fun day for everybody to talk about the things we all love: movies, movie news, TV, streaming, all that kind of good stuff. I'm glad that does it for you. I know it does it for me as well. So thank you for being here and being part of our audience, man. All right, what's next?
Next, Andy. What would you prefer? A Cavill Superman film directed by Steven Spielberg or a Batman film written and directed by Ben Affleck? I'd choose the second.
That's a real Sophie's choice. That's a real Sophie's choice. I can't answer that.
I can't.
I mean, like, if you don't said almost anything or a Ben Affleck directed Batman movie, I'm leaning towards that. But Steven Spielberg doing a Henry Cavill Superman movie, that makes it really close. So I'm not sure how I'd answer that. It's a good one though. It's a good Sophie's choice. All right, what's next?
Kurt, after this upcoming season of Nancy Drew featuring Aaron Cummings, I'm probably done with the CW. It's been fun.
Listen, I'll tell you what, there have been a couple of things I've watched only because Aaron Cummings is there. I remember the first couple of episodes of Spartacus were hot garbage, but I kept watching because Aaron was Spartacus's wife. I mean, she was one of the stars of the show. So I kept watching, and it turned into one of my top 3 all-time favorite shows. I'm glad. I don't suspect the same will happen with Nancy Drew, but Nancy Drew is a show I never would even watch if it wasn't for the fact that Aaron's going to be in there. So yeah, I'll give it that as well, but then I'm probably off of it until they announce a true supernatural return. Then I'll be back in there. All right, what's next?
Next, Super Crazy Movie Geek. Don't you think U.S. is reverse engineering recovered UFO?
No. All right, what's next?
I'd like to believe they are, though.
Sure, it's a fun theory.
I
but-
want to believe.
No, I don't believe that, because technology is simply not advanced fast enough for any of that to be true. All right, what's next?
Guzman, have you seen the new life-size Queen Studios Hulkbuster? 11 feet high, 3
What?
tons, for only $75,000 plus shipping. Would look nice on set.
All right, so I have to let you all know I'm laying the entire staff off because I need $75,000 to buy a life-size Hulk thing. It would just look great in my kitchen.
Would that even fit in here?
Yeah, we got, I'm going to say 14-foot high ceilings.
I mean, especially once he gets rid of all this dead weight.
Right.
Let's just get him to sponsor us.
Look, I'm not saying I would choose an inanimate statue over you guys. I'm just saying I would choose that
one.
inanimate
No, that's
statue over
fair.
you guys.
That's
all.
fair.
But come on.
You guys wanna see
who
it?
amongst
Yeah.
you would not do this
Let's
thing?
check
Come
this
on.
bad boy out.
Oh, look at that.
I wouldn't
Oh,
sell
wow.
Rob for that.
He doesn't move at all. He's just
Yeah,
stands
dude,
like
I got
that.
a 6-scale Hulk buster. I'm good.
That's pretty damn
That
good.
doesn't
That's
look,
pretty damn sweet.
like the size that they're saying it is, though.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's hard because we don't have anything in there for reference
I
sake,
know.
right?
Yeah.
We need a human being in there to give it scale. All right, what's next?
Next, My Friends, You Bow to No One.
Oh, I
a
love that.
sequel to Wind River. The next chapter has been confirmed. Wind River was the first movie that left me speechless. The line, I knew that girl. She was a fighter. Left me in tears.
They're doing a sequel to Wind River? I mean, first of all,
don't know
let
this
me be
movie.
clear. I loved Wind River.
I did too.
It's one of my favorite Jeremy Renner performances ever. I love that movie. Tyler Sheridan, again, wrote it. He might have directed it too, if I'm
He
not
did direct
mistaken.
it.
He did direct it. Love that movie. I don't see how you do a sequel to it.
Well,
though.
maybe it's about Wanda coming back and changing the outcome of the first movie
Yeah,
using
maybe.
her chaos magic.
But I mean, it's first of all, just from a business perspective, it's not like Wind River blew up the box office. So I don't see the case for it, unless it's going to be like a Paramount Plus thing.
Yeah, I
which
don't know. I
maybe-
mean, but I could see those characters coming back.
Sure. Don't get me
another-
wrong. It's a story I would like to. I love those characters, but it did not make money. There's not a true continuation to be there. So I don't know. I find that interesting. I have to read more about it. Thanks for putting that on my radar, man. All right, what's next?
Next, Eldon says Paul Verhoeven made 3 damn good films that are still some of my all-time favorites: RoboCop, Total Recall, and Starship Troopers. Let's forget Showgirls. Yeah,
Why
But
would
the
you want to forget
commentary.
Showgirls?
The commentary is so fun.
My God, that movie was so bad. Like, of course, like teenage me, of course, wanted to love that movie, and of course, teenage me liked certain things about the movie because, hey,
What
teenage me,
things?
you know, the dialogue.
Would you like to borrow my 4K MIDI book from Germany?
No, not really. But
All right.
Don't put a blue light.
but
I
you know
screwed up
what?
that joke.
Here's the thing: say what you want about Showgirls. You say that name today, everybody still knows the movie. You say what you want about that movie, it has a permanent place in Hollywood history.
Like
By the way,
the
Paul
room.
Verhoeven, before he came to America, made some world-class films as well, like Soldier of Orange, a great thriller called The Fourth Man, and his first American movie, Flesh and Blood. So he had a career that goes all the way back to the late 60s before he came to America making movies.
Help me out here. So the girl from Saved by the Bell,
Yes.
whose name I
Elizabeth
can't
Berkley.
remember.
Elizabeth Berkley.
Elizabeth Hurley.
Berkeley.
Berkeley?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Elizabeth
Hurley was Hugh Grant's
British.
completely somebody else.
ex-wife.
So she does this, right? Pretty much kills the career, right? It could have been a career launcher. It could have been a star maker. Pretty much killed her career. Because help me out here. It's the only thing I remember seeing her in other than that was Any Given Sunday.
Yeah.
And in
And-
First Wives Club.
Yes.
Little role.
Oh,
That's
that's
it.
right. That's right. That's right.
1993. Yep.
Because in Any Given Sunday, she played Al Pacino's
Hooker.
prostitute.
Yeah.
For a short thing.
But both very supporting roles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just so funny how one project, because if that had been a hit, it was going to be a star making vehicle.
Yep.
She would have been a big star. And
I'll tell you a quick story. In Free Enterprise, when we were making Free Enterprise, we wrote a part for her, and we had offered her the part. It was an offer, but it was it was a small part, but it was still UTA, her agency at the time. I delivered the script personally myself to her agent 3 times.
I remember you told me this story. Yeah.
And they got back to us. I kept calling. I'm like, hey, what's the answer? Oh, we never got your script. And I'm like, I don't think your agents did well for you, Elizabeth Berkley. All I'm saying.
So like, you phone, who this?
3
All right,
times.
who dis? All right, what's next?
Eldon says.
No, that was Eldon.
No, I already did that one. Blue Jay. 2022 is almost over. What is your best and worst movie of the year so far?
No, I mean, there's no point because the real
hard.
big ones are coming out now.
Yeah.
Now is when the real big ones start to come out. So, I mean, I've been saying for most of the year, Everything Everywhere All at Once is still my number one movie of the year. But we've got The Whale coming. We've got Fableman's coming. This is where the real big
Armageddon
heavy hitters-
time.
Armageddon, yeah.
Avatar.
I mean, this is now when the big hitters are coming. So this is a bad time of year. Like at the 6-month mark, hey, what's your halfway thing? And we talked about that. But right now, I mean, yeah, right now, still Everything Everywhere All at Once. But this is when now the avalanche starts coming of the Oscar hopefuls, and that's when we're really going to see. All right, guys. And that'll do it for this installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making this show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those super chats. Number one, because you give us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Don't forget, a little bit later today at 3 p.m. Los Angeles time, that's 6 p.m. New York time, we've got our Andor after show open spoiler discussion. Make sure you come back and join us for that. Hey, Taylor did pretty good today.
Shout out to Taylor. Yeah.
I mean, not good enough, but he did better than me.
Taylor, you're
Taylor
king.
did really well today. And you know what? Y'all did really well today. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. So for Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett, Chris Carr, joining you guys in live chat was Ray Orr, and of course, running the show today back there was Taylor. Well done, Taylor.
Thank
and
you.
Kaylee Robinson. My name's John Campea, guys. Make sure you come back and join us again tomorrow. And until then, my friends, bye-bye.